Welcome back. It's that time again. What time? It's the podcast time. It's time for the podcast. It's time for the RageSelect podcast right here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
I'm Blake.
Blake, welcome to the podcast.
It's my first time on the podcast,
Yes.
but I do podcast things on RageSelect,
Yes.
but not the podcast, so I'm excited. This is my first time.
I feel like there have been enough times that you and I have been playing a game where we've just started talking about industry bullshit that I'm like, you know what? I bet that Blake, I bet he's got a thing or two to say about this Nintendo Direct that came out.
I got some opinions. I got some opinions, mainly what I'm going with the French accent for, but I think it was an interesting Nintendo Direct. That was for sure.
Yes, and we got way more. I kind of feel like this was the last gasp of like we've just gotten through Naughty 3 last week. We did a whole 3-hour podcast because we're covering, Microsoft and the Starfield Direct and Ubisoft and all that stuff. So I think that this is kind of like Nintendo's, like if Nintendo was going to do E3, they would have done this. But before we get to any of that, the first thing that we normally do on the podcast, Blake, is talk about the cool stuff that we watched and or played in the last week. And it's mostly so I have something more interesting to put in the thumbnail than just pictures of Mario every week, or pictures of Bobby Kotick, I should say. It's mostly Bobby Kotick at this point. So there are eras of the RageSelect podcast, and right now with the Activision Blizzard stuff, it's just, it's all Bobby Kotick all the time. Anyway, did you watch anything cool? Did you play anything cool? Did you do anything cool last week that you would like to talk about?
I did, and I can literally hear my wife rolling her eyes. She's not here, but she's going to roll her eyes because I'm going to talk about One Piece, because I just got into One Piece.
Wait.
Here we go.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
One Piece.
Hold on, motherfucker. Hold on. I got a bone to pick with you. You were watching all of Gundam. You were on this road where you were just like, I'm going to watch every Gundam that ever came out in chronological order. You can't
pivot.
You can't pivot. Well, you can't pivot to One Piece.
Well, so
like, you can pivot to Hellsing Ultimate, but not One Piece.
Here's the sad thing. I literally stopped watching One Piece and watched Mobile Suit Victory Gundam.
Okay.
For 2 days straight and got done and literally finished 50 episodes of that. It was the worst thing I've ever seen. I died laughing so many times at that. So I'm like, I'm going to go back to One Piece, but I'm going to keep doing that. Every time I finish an arc in One Piece, I'm going to go watch something else in Gundam, because everybody likes a little bit of plethora when you're watching some anime.
I feel like next time I see you, you're going to be like, well, I'm still into One Piece and I'm watching Gundam in between, but now whenever I go to the bathroom, I put on Naruto, and I've just started Naruto and I'm just going to watch all that in the bathroom.
It might happen. I'm also reading the manga of One Piece, and I'm like 350 chapters in. I have problems.
You were a crazy person.
I have problems.
Well, how are you finding One Piece? I really wanted to watch One Piece because I like pirate stuff, and I've heard, nothing but good stuff about it. The problem that I had was I went back to start watching it, and I was just like, man, these early seasons are ugly as shit. Like, this is old anime, 4:3, bad frame rate, fucking backgrounds might as well be like a child's crayon drawing.
They're not great at all, and I remember that was my hesitation as well.
Yeah.
And people would be like, "Oh, don't worry, it gets better after the 80th episode," and you're like, "Damn, I don't have that much time." Like,
right.
you gotta. So it did take a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's a weekly syndicated manga, and they take that and they have to run with it for the show. So I kind of just grew into it, and it's not as bad once you get used to it, but it certainly is probably the middle ground. I've seen some pretty terrible anime, but the middle ground, I think, is probably where I would put it. Some of the episodes look fine, but most of the earlier ones just look like shit. But the story is what's good. So I would recommend to you that you read the manga versus watching the show, because you can get through that quicker, and there's only 1,086
I
chapters.
guess maybe the question, whenever anime comes up, somebody always has very strong feelings in the comment section. I guess maybe the question, because they did make some there's like a couple of movies that are like, oh, this is the first 30 episodes
they just do arcs.
condensed.
Yeah,
right?
they're like, oh, this arc is for this character, and this is the 8th movie. And I'm like, oh, okay.
But I can't keep track of it because it's not like... It
doesn't say start here.
Yeah,
right?
it's not called One Piece. Start here if you don't want to watch the old one. One Piece. Start here if you don't want to watch the old one. Part 2, right? But I wonder if I could read the manga up until the animation becomes better.
There you go.
And then flip over, or if it's one of those things where the manga is like way too detailed or different.
It's actually like, it's pretty similar, and they're only, manga, the chapters are like 20 pages a piece. So, and you know what I mean? So it's not, you get through them really quick, and like once you get through the arc, you're like, okay, I want a little bit more. So it becomes more of the, hey, I'm getting this vibe now for the character arcs and all of the good stuff with One Piece that you'll get. and it doesn't feel like you're having to sit there and watch the episode. So now I'm reading beyond what I'm watching, and I'm just going to go back and just put it on in the background.
Wait, you're doing two pieces.
I'm doing two piece. I'm doing a two piece.
Reading the manga and watching. Why you gotta pick one, man?
I really just want to get through it. I feel like I just want to get caught up so I can like go watch more Gundam. It's very strange. I have a problem.
Your anime consumption habits are very
through the roof. They're too damn high.
Yeah, like I think there was a time where I was all I did was just sit around and watch anime, and I'm pretty sure that you're surpassing me in your spare time, which is saying
I'm
something.
living it. You know, I'm living it.
Well, I watched the new Fast and the Furious movie last week, Fast X.
I've seen that as well. How did you like it?
Here's the thing. I actually liked it quite a bit more than the last few, and it is all 100% because Jason Momoa is just having the fucking time of his life in that movie.
Agreed. What were your thoughts on seeing that scene? The scene that everybody talks about with the for spoilers if people don't want to know about it, the corpses.
Oh, with the bathrobe?
Yeah. Oh my god.
It was great. It reminded me of what it reminded me of was the was when Jack Nicholson is talking to the guy in the boardroom in the original Batman, and like I was like, this is great. And also he's dressed in these like purple silks with like the man buns up, and he's got these like Jackie O sunglasses.
He looks like Mr. 2 from One Piece. I hate to go back to it, but it's true.
No, but it's just like it's perfect watching this incredibly tall, like super stacked, like buff dude sashay up to Dominic Toretto, who's got his black T-shirt with the arms cut off of it, in like a a pink or like a purple silk fucking blouse that's cut down to his navel, and then just talk a lot of shit directly in his face. And I'm just like, dude, this is great, because I think that like, like in the last movie, I don't know, man. I like it when John Cena can be a little goofy, and he was so dedicated to being so just like, man, my secret brother of.
Same thing with The Rock, right?
Dominic.
The Rock's in a movie. He's not able to be funny. He's like Black Adam, completely dead. Like I did not find that enjoyable at all for that. For
like
that reason.
I like the part in the Fast and Furious when The Rock flexes his broken arm out of his cast in order to go have a fight with Jason Statham on top of a parking garage or whatever happened. No, I liked it. I liked it a lot more than the last one. I also like the fact that the I really sometimes Fast and Furious gets too goofy, and
absolutely
it just breaks me. And like in this one, they go back to the one where they were pulling the vault down the
street,
and
they just shoehorn Momoa in and say like, oh, he was there.
Well, no, but it was funny because it just reminded me of like, oh yeah, this is one of the ones where I was just like, I'm sorry, the laws of physics will not allow what you are doing. There is no muscle car, no matter how much nitrous you put in it, that can tow a bank vault down a street. Like,
they've gone their full. They have their own physics, and it's just a superhero movie. I mean, that's literally what it is now. It's not a car movie; it's a superhero movie.
Which is why in the last one they take that fucking Fiero into space, and I was just like, no, I'm sorry, no.
They went to space. What's next? People are like, they're going to do a Jurassic Park crossover.
Yeah,
like that's their next pivot. Like,
yeah, I thought it was really fun. The only thing I didn't know going in was that it's a part one, and I think that movies should be required by law to put Fast X-1, right, so that when you go into it and you're nice and drunk and it's like 2 hours and 15 minutes, and you're like, how are they gonna resolve this? And then the credits just rolling, you're like, oh man, come on.
Well, I haven't seen the new Spider-Verse, and I've heard it's similar. Like, there's more to the story, obviously, but there's a part one. It's a part one, and you're like, what the hell?
Just call it part one. Just say part one in the title.
Part one. Don't get my hopes up. But it was like Lord of the Rings. I remember as a kid watching them get to the end of Fellowship, and they walk towards the mountain, and it cuts to black, and I'm like, man, they're gonna get there quick because it's already 3 hours into this, and I was like, oh shit, there's 2 other movies and books. Like, I did not know that as a kid.
Yeah, but no, I totally good. Also, just really briefly, everyone should go watch the video that we did for that new Aliens game, because it's way better than I've been really burned out on Aliens games, because I feel like most Aliens games start from the conception of, don't you want to play an FPS where you shoot aliens with a gun that makes a pulse rifle noise?
True. Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but like the reason that we care in Aliens is because Ripley is shooting the gun with the pulse rifle noise. And if it's just generic Gordon Freeman man mowing down aliens, that shit gets boring. And I don't know. I think this new one's pretty good. But
check it out. It looks pretty cool from the screenshots.
Yeah. But that is as good a segue as any into our Nintendo Direct. There was, So I don't know. I feel like this Nintendo Direct might end up being one of. I feel like a lot of Nintendo Directs are they're separated into two categories. One, Nintendo is showing you something brand new that you care a lot about, or two, it's a lot of DLC for games that I'm not playing, as well as farming simulators that I don't have any interest in playing. And I feel like, with some exceptions, this one kind of falls into that latter category.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I had questions, Jeff, and it mainly is a game that I don't recall the name of it, but it looks like Minecraft / like Rust / a bunch of other stuff, and I'm like, what they had Animal Crossing. What was wrong with that? Now they're doing Animal Crossing in real life. Like,
it's like that thing, a little while back, how the video game industry was like, nobody wants to play horror games, everybody hates horror games, let's not make horror games anymore. And then they watched as the indie sector made horror games and made like billions, and they were like, oh,
we gotta go back, we gotta do horror games,
make some horror games. And I feel like for a long time, there's been an audience that has broken open with Stardew Valley for like, I want to play a laid-back game where you just plant crops and water them. I don't want to do that. Jeff doesn't want to.
I think that sounds awful.
I don't want to do that. I play games for stimulation, not to relax. I can relax at a moment's notice. So, but anyway, let's jump in. So we started with some the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I believe.
Question:
Yes.
How? I feel like when this Scarlet and
can you turn that microphone towards your face a little bit?
Boom.
Yeah,
all right.
You go. All right.
I feel like with Scarlet and Violet, is that the two?
Yes.
Two? So I feel like with those two games when they came out, did people just kind of like, meh? It's very meh. People don't. It's like there's no voice acting. There's not a lot of stuff for the next gen consoles. It's just like a kind of mid step up from the Game Boy games.
Well, so the big thing with Scarlet and Violet is that Scarlet and Violet took the mechanics from Pokemon Legends Arceus, where for the first time you're walking around in a third-person world. You see the Pokemon. You have to like manually throw a Pokeball at them to get them. Like it's they've done a lot to integrate the gameplay and to make it less just like, oh, and then you went into a battle and then you fought a guy and then you used this and it was super effective. Also, they did a thing that I don't think Pokemon has done. Pokemon people, don't come at me, I don't give a shit.
Come at us, bro.
Where they put it at a Pokemon high school. They made it like a school thing.
Why is it always from they always do that? Yep. High school is like the thing over there.
Yep. And I'm like, oh, that's great. People love it when you can go to Pokemon class. So, yeah. I think this one did okay. I think it didn't do as well as they... well, I don't know. It could have done very well. The big thing is I don't think it had as much buzz because it was very buggy and it was very low res. Yeah. There's a lot of just problems with it. But they announced this DLC a little while back, and we're getting the trailer for it. It's basically there's going to be 2 planned DLCs for this. The first one is called the Teal Mask and the Indigo Disc. The Teal Mask is like a festival with like a bunch of masks and like little Pokemon dressed up with little headbands and stuff.
It looks really cute. Like that. Like as I was watching it, it's like if the market is like my wife would probably be if she played the Pokemon games, I feel like this would be like right up her alley.
Yeah.
I don't. Is it really more cosmetic, or is it a story, or
it's a new area? They're 2 new areas, which is big for this because new areas mean new Pokemon, mean new trainers, and all that stuff. So there's that, and then there's the blue disc, and that's like a futuristic school on the water. It's like this big the Indigo Disc, this big cyber school on the water that I'm sure is also full of a bunch of Pokemons and trainers.
That kind of looks cool though. Now knowing more context to it.
Yeah, I mean it's. I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure.
I'll never play this, but I'm sure that there are people. I mean, I assume there's people like lined up. They're really excited about it, which is cool. But yeah, I saw this and I'm just like, man, I want to go back to the original 150. I really do. I really think that would be fun just to make a game.
I just can't get over. You see this guy, like there's 2 versions of it, and in the Scarlet version and the Indigo version, there's like this legendary Pokemon that's like a motorcycle, right? It's like a weird motorcycle lizard, and in the Violet version, the motorcycle lizard, it's got like cyber wheels that turn, and in the Scarlet version, it's got feet, and it literally runs with its feet, even though it's got motorcycle wheels in it, and it just makes me so mad. Like,
well, don't ever watch. I'm gonna call it back. Don't ever watch Mobile Suit Gundam Victory, because they literally have mobile suits that are riding giant wheels, like motorcycle wheels. It is absolutely insane. So I'm completely in agreement. This is ridiculous.
But anyway, I mean, like, this just looks like more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I don't think it's going to be a big thing. I haven't been keeping up with it, but I haven't seen any stories saying like, hey, they pulled a No Man's Sky and like the frame rate and everything is super, super good now. I do think this is one of those ones that, I mean, I know that Nintendo will never let this franchise out of their grips.
But are they going to give Game Freak more money? Is it usually like an issue where like they just can't?
I think that it's just going to be a thing where you're going to have to wait for, if they ever update the Switch to be 4K and to be able to run better, then maybe it'll run better. But yeah. So that was our first thing. From there, we got a look at that new Sonic game that was...
So excited for this. This looks really fun.
Sonic Superstars that was announced at, I think, the Microsoft event. You like Sonic.
I do.
You're a fan of Sonic?
I like non-bullshit Sonic. And I'm going to say that because I am not a fan of the 3D, like... I never was a fan of those, and so going to a model more of the Mario,
the 2D,
element, yeah, exactly, the 2D element where you can play with your friends, local co-op. That to me is awesome. Like, you've never had the ability to do that, right? In Sonic, I haven't seen that.
I don't think so.
Game.
Yeah, I think they even called that out as being new. You can do up to 4-player co-op because you've got Sonic and Knuckles and Tails, and then also Amy is in there.
Which is awesome. I mean, like, they're not oversaturating the character selection, because I feel like Mario does that, where it's like, do you want to play as mini baby Toad? And it's like, I don't care. Give me the old school characters.
Yeah,
right? Like,
every time Sonic rolls out that slutty bat, I'm just like, I'm not having it anymore.
I don't know who you are, but apparently you're very popular amongst the teens. I mean,
I know why, but like, still get out of here.
But do we really know? Well, I don't know. I don't know.
I am traditionally a big fat Sonic hater, but this does look better. I thought that Sonic Frontiers game was total ballsack, and this looks like not ballsack. This looks like more like what I think people would actually want out of Sonic.
That's exactly. It's do what you're good at.
Yeah.
Don't try to like I feel like they're trying to still be the Super Mario 64. They're still trying to figure that out, and I'm like, it's over. Just drop it.
Well,
right?
It's funny because I feel like the poor Sonic fans have to go through this all the time, where it's like, well, we've made a new 3D Sonic where you play from the back, and it's like, oh, it kind of sucks. And they're like, okay, well, now we go back to our roots.
Appreciate it. Don't want it. Appreciate it.
We made another 2D Sonic. Everybody's like, hooray!
Yay!
And they're like, okay, now we made another 3D Sonic.
Now you're gonna get 4 more 3D Sonics. I don't want that.
Now BioWare has made a Sonic the Hedgehog RPG for some reason. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's nice to know that this is coming to the Switch this fall. I'm sure that at some point I will be recording a video for this.
I'll play with you.
I'll have to have you on as somebody who doesn't load that little blue rodent, his fucking shoes and his chili dogs.
Here it is. Here's the game. It's like, what is it?
Palia? Palia, yeah. It's just, there's a... see, the thing is that as somebody who keeps up with all this horse shit, okay, last year there was a game...
I feel like we're about ready to get into some shit, and I'm like, what?
Well, no, I think that this is like when you try to talk to people... Like, I don't know if like Brian, if you're like a horror movie fan, right? If you go try to talk to like your mom and dad about like Terrifier 2, and they're just like,
oh no,
what?
Yeah.
What happened? What did the guy do?
Yeah,
there's a second one of these. Last year, Square Enix put out a game called Harvestella that was basically like a farming game, and then also you go out and do some kind of third-person Final Fantasy action thing against a bunch of monsters. It was pretty good.
Okay,
but like, I swear to God, it came out. There were like trailers for it, and then it came out. I have never heard a single person talk about it ever again. This reminds me of that, but it's it's online. It's like an MMO, and you're gonna get to make a house, and you get to go out and you get to grow some carrots, and then you get to eat those carrots and go out and fight some monsters, cook stuff with your buddies, fish, all the boring repetitive tasks that I don't want to do in any video game.
It reminds me of God, I'm gonna date my PlayStation Home. I don't know if you remember that, but it's basically like this is obviously a more excelled version of that, but it's still this whole idea of like go into a world to do minimal tasks. And like I remember playing these games, and I'm like, I just want to go back to playing a game. Like,
you know what? It reminds me of back in the old MMO heyday when there would just be some new
EverQuest
MMO.
or
yeah, kind of around there where there would just be like you'd be like, oh, here's Dark Age of Camelot, and like you got to build a castle, or like this one's all about fishing or whatever. Here's City of Heroes, and you're just like, okay, I guess. Except that it's a good idea taking an MMO and then putting the crafting building stuff in it along with like an action thing, and it's got a relatively recognizable art style. Like it's got a pretty good art style.
It's very approachable, very Fortnite-ish.
Yeah.
Probably the same engine.
Anyway, that's holiday this year. Let's see. We saw Persona 5 Tactica again. This was leaked and then announced last week at the Microsoft show. They showed a little bit more of it. Have you engaged with any of the Persona games?
So I was gonna say I have. This could be another anime thing, right? Where I'm gonna dive into it and literally just do nothing with my life but play Persona.
Yeah,
I played about 5 hours of Persona 5. Really liked it, and then was like, I just don't have time.
That's not enough hours.
And
you need like 90 hours.
It was fun. It was beautiful, and I feel like if I go back into it, I'm going to be completely lost because I don't know anything that's going on. It's very confusing.
Sure.
But this looks like a lot of fun, and I have much more appreciation for the art style, for the storytelling, for all of that after playing Persona 5. So the fact that this is something that's on the Switch, I could see myself maybe getting this and playing it. Like,
yeah. And there's actually I'll just skip ahead to some of the news stories that we have before. There's they actually confirmed, because this was announced at Xbox, and then they had this here, and then they've confirmed that it's also going to be on PlayStation, so it's going to be on everything.
Nice.
Basically.
Okay.
I'm still a little bit conflicted about the art style, just because I like. I'm kind of I guess in a similar feelings but different outcome, where like I did like Persona 5. I never finished it, but I liked the style of the character so much that I'm not the biggest fan of this weird like chibification of
like a beautiful Joe.
Yeah, making them into these little Persona babies. But I do like a good
It's like Gundam
game.
and Gundam SDs. Okay, I'm gonna stop with that. But
I do. No, there was an incredibly good Gundam game that came out last year, and it's an SD Gundam game, and I'm just like, no, just make it regular size. Come on, you're still shooting people and you're blowing up stuff. Just make them regular size. Come on. But I mean, they've done a really good job with a lot of these Persona spinoff games, and who knows? It's possible that this could be one of those ones. I didn't expect to like the Gears of War Tactics game, and then I played the ever-loving crap out of it. So,
got to give it a try. If you're even a little bit interested, I would probably say to give it a try.
November 7th. Well, also it's my job, so.
Okay, this looks like, if I could cuss, fucking awesome.
Yes,
like,
of course.
Oh my God, it looked awesome. I was like,
Myth-Force?
this, I don't really know more than just the character style and the art style, but I was like, this looks amazing. It's like, what is it, like Skyrim, but with like cartoons, essentially, like a Dragon's Lair type feel? Sort
of, yeah. It's an online, I think it's kind of like a medieval Left 4 Dead, where you're playing with a squad of 4 people, and you're kind of trying to do stuff. But then they've got this really evocative art style where it's like cell shaded, but then like the way the colors are a little bit washed out, and the character designs are really indicative of like 80s Saturday morning cartoons.
Yes, and it looks beautiful.
Yeah, this was announced a little while back, but it's good to throw it out there.
I hate that available 2023. Okay, like,
yeah, it just has a release date. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I a lot of the thing with games like this is obviously. You can make a really nice trailer and they look great, and it just comes down to like, but how do they feel in the hand?
Or button mashing, like if monotonous, if it gets boring.
Well,
like,
and then is there a good enough incentive structure as far as the story and as far as like the gameplay
skill
loop
sets and
to keep you playing it? Because of course, games like this, one of the worst things that can happen is if people get tired of playing it 48 hours after release, and there's just like the same 18 people playing it.
There's no reason to keep picking it back up.
Yeah, but I do like that we're trying out this art style, because it really is evocative. They really nailed it. The environments are still like fully 3D, but like the way that they've cel shaded these characters,
it's got the look. Does
really
it have
good.
the feel?
Yeah. Let's see. After that, we got some updates for Splatoon, the Splatfest that's happening in July. I don't
care at all about Splatoon. I know a lot of kids like it, and I'm sure it's a lot of fun, but I don't care about vanilla versus strawberry versus mint chip. Just
Well, that's the weird thing is that they've been having these three. It's like you'll sign up for a team, right? And then you'll play, and your team will win. And and they're always in these triple threat things. And so this one is what's the best flavor of ice cream, and it's vanilla, strawberry, and mint chip. And I'm like, I guess this is because they didn't want people to be splattering a big brown liquid all around.
I literally was just thinking, there's probably fights right now at school.
Yeah.
Of people like, I'm Team Strawberry. Well, Team Strawberry sucks. I'm Team Mint Chip. Like, I'm Team Vanilla. You can't say that. You can't say that.
The thing is that, like, I don't know. One of these things is not like the other. Like, you almost had a Neapolitan going on here, but then you had to change it.
You decided to pivot. Yeah. And it certainly, like, just pick another, like, orange whatever. Like, there could be all these other colors and all these other flavors, but they went with the vanilla.
You could do like Rocky Road, throw that. Well, nope, that's got the same problem. Anyway, I don't know. I think that the Splatoon is fine. I think it's interesting though that they're still like running it and doing updates and stuff. As I understand it, all of the Splatoon games have been incredibly popular to the Splatoon audience. So from there, this is a little strange. There's a new Detective Pikachu game happening. The last one was on, I believe, the DS, maybe the 3DS. And I never played it, and I didn't watch the movie either.
I didn't watch the movie, but I've obviously know about. I was like always going to watch it, and then I was like, eh. But the idea of this is that it's a adorable, loving Pikachu with like a raspy voice.
Yep.
Is that kind of the feel and spiel of Detective Pikachu? That's the gimmick.
There's like this one Pikachu that can talk, and then you got to go out and solve like Pokemon crimes, I guess.
I would be down if it was actually like Columbo Pikachu.
I like the fact that he seems like
I don't know what he's doing to that Arcane.
Like he's like, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee, and I'm just like, Pikachu, wow, okay. I've always had a lot of respect for when Pokemon does something that's not just got to catch them all. So,
outside of the box. Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, looks good. Like, and also it seems like it would be the sort of thing. I'm always really cognizant these days about what games will run on the Switch well.
Yeah, you got to take that into consider because you can't play like I think a lot of the sporting games that are out right. You can't play that on a Switch. It runs like ass, and it's not at all something that I would ever want to invest my time into. It's important that if a game runs perfectly and smoothly, you don't have to worry about how it's performing. Like.
And that's coming out in October 6th. Let's see. From there,
this was the big reveal. Everybody flipped their shit for this.
Yeah, Super Mario RPG is getting a remake. This is a little weird to me because I mean, not like it's not really weird. I never played Super Mario RPG. Like, it was kind of happened later on in that cycle when I like moved on, and there was kind of a dark spot in my video game history where I just stopped playing games for a little while, and it was kind of around this time. It looks like they've done a really good job, though, of remastering this, of kind of taking that weird. I don't know how you would describe the art style of the original, like this kind of very rudimentary 3D graphics.
I mean, it was like the Final Fantasy Mario, right? Yeah. Like that was the whole idea of it. Now I'm gonna be hot taking here.
Yeah,
I did play Super Mario RPG back in the day, and I don't like it. I think it's we just talked about Sonic doing things that aren't Sonic. Like I know that this is a good mechanically well done game. I'm sure this game is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people, but I'm just like, I don't want to wait for Mario to jump on somebody's head in a turn-based I'll play Mario Party, that's fine, but I just feel like that's where I always it just tuned me out. Paper Mario less so, but sort of the same, like the art style kind of threw me a little bit, but I don't know. It's going to take a lot for me to get into this this remaster, but I do enjoy. It looks beautiful. It really looks beautiful.
Really good looking. Really good looking. I don't understand at all what's going on. There's like a little wooden boy or something, and like
you're working with Bowser.
Yeah,
he's
Bowser's
not trying
there.
To
There's like a cloud man of some sort. Also, it's always really weird. I know that, like, I know it's canon, but like the fact that like this Mario is like Lil Mario, it's always very weird to me when he's like half the size of what I expect Mario to look like. He's a little guy. But
Also, are they not going to have Chris Pratt just do all the voices for Mario? No, I'm just playing.
I don't think this game has voices. But yeah, I mean, the thing is that I'm a little bit of two minds, because on the one hand, I'm like, all right, guys, like fucking,
Original games, please.
Right. It's nice that you're remastering everything, but maybe instead of this, you just take this art style and you make Super Mario RPG 2, right? Like, or
certainly do this, but not make it the focal point of your release. Like, that's what's disappointing, is that this is just a remake, right?
Yeah. I mean, but on the other hand, like, I keep having to remind myself of this fact, and it's hard, and I don't like it because it reminds me that I'm going to die someday. Like, there are a lot of people who didn't have a Super Nintendo, who never played Super Mario RPG, who may very well like it, who will not go back and suffer through Super Nintendo graphics and slow loading and things like that.
True.
Where you could totally take something this old, slap a new coat of paint on it, re-release it.
Even though if they're listening, you should absolutely go through it, because you got to understand. But yes, they're not going to.
I don't know. I have this whole shtick that I was saying for a little while back, where I'm like, you know how people get really mad that young people, and they're just like, oh, what do you mean you've never seen Rocky? And it's like, do you expect like 16-year-olds to just go back and watch every movie from the 80s so that they can culturally relate to you, old man? Come on.
I feel like I've just been called out from an anime perspective, because that's exactly what I'm doing. Is I'm like, I have to be culturally relevant. I have to understand what everybody's talking about. So no, they usually don't do that.
Yeah, but good for you. Sure, if Square Enix wants to do this instead of
good for you
fucking up yet another thing, good for you, Square Enix. Also, Nintendo has enough quality control; they won't let something like this come out and be a piece of shit. So
that's true.
I have a lot of problems with.
It's a solid 8
Square
before it even hits the market.
Yeah, that's coming out in November of this year, also, which is good.
Pass.
Then we got a very brief teaser for a Princess Peach game.
Now we're talking. You know what? Even though this actually looks all right. Originality is important.
Yeah.
We've never had a Peach-based game.
That's not true. There was a
well, damn. Well, it's a -2 for this.
It was either a DS or a GBA game that was called like Super Princess Peach, and she had like a sentient umbrella, and it is widely panned because one of the big mechanics in the game is that Peach's emotions are so strong that like the way that you fix stuff is like, oh look, I can't get past this part, but look, there's a tiny seedling on the ground, so I'm going to hit the sad button, and then Peach is going to bawl uncontrollably, and her waterfall of tears will make this thing grow, or she's going to get so mad that she catches on fire, and it's like, yeah, I get what you were doing, guys, and this is an old ass game, but like,
so Nintendo's like, this is the first Princess Peach game that we've ever made,
right? And it's like, I do kind of like they didn't show very much of it, but it's very much got this. I don't know if this is the whole game or just this opening part where it's like she's on a stage.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
Like the background is all like kind of cutouts and stuff. And then they very briefly kind of show a part where she stands on this one spot and her dress changes, like starts glowing and changes color. Yeah, man, give Princess Peach a game. Fucking sure.
Hell yeah. And I literally, I do think that it reminds me a lot of like Paper Mario, but like you can totally work with that element of like you're still doing a side-scrolling game, but it still has more interesting dynamic. Like this looks way different than any Mario I've ever looked
I believe
at.
there was one of the Mario RPGs, like I think it was one of the Game Boy or DS ones.
I played the Luigi Mario games, like Superstars or whatever.
Yeah. One of them where all the combat happened on like a stage, right? Where you would always go to like a little stage to do that stuff. So, but yeah, I don't know. They showed very little. They said they're going to talk more about it. And then Luigi's Mansion, the DS Luigi's Mansion game is getting remastered and re-released.
Surprise.
Yep. Also noted Luigi hater Jeff. So they just really loaded me up for downvotes and bad
How
comments.
do you hate like Mario and Sonic? Like,
No, I like Mario. I like Mario quite a bit. I think the reason I don't like Luigi is because I'm the firstborn child of my family, and I'm just like, get out of here, Luigi.
Well, let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on Tails? Because if you don't like Luigi...
Yep.
and you don't like Sonic, I would assume. Do you like Tails?
Because I hate Tails.
There's no saving you whatsoever.
Miles, get out of here, Miles.
Sonic will never be.
You shouldn't have a first name, you sidekick. Like maybe like finding out that Sonic's name is actually like Jimmy. Like his name is like Jiminy Hedgehog, and it's just, like Sonic is just what the people call him. Tails has a first goddamn name. Like he had a mom that went and said
he literally had a history. He had a family.
So that makes him hate him even more because he's like, call me Tails because I have 2 tails.
And what's interesting, Mario is a fat guy. That's the thing. Like, I mean, I can aspire to be Mario because I'm Mario. I'm not Italian, but I feel like the first video game true character that you can relate with was a fat character. Like, you know what I mean? Like, then Luigi comes out to make it skinny, and then I'm just like, well, I don't know. I just think that's hilarious. Like, now we're always, making these like beautiful looking like characters, and it's like, no, at the very beginning it was just a regular dude.
Yeah. Anyway, what they showed of this looked good. I mean, it looked fine. Like, I'm sure that remastering DS games, one of the nice things about Nintendo games is that they have a really solid art style, which means that it's easy to remaster because you can just kind of up-res it them. And then see how it goes.
Because I know that there's a difference between remaster and remake. Remake, yeah, remake and remaster.
Remake and remaster. From there, putting out the Batman Arkham trilogy on the Switch. This go back in time and see when we talked about how some games don't look good on the Switch.
My question exactly is going to be, how does it run? Because it looks like it's not running very well.
I mean, it looks like it runs like okay in their older games, and so I think this is one of those things where, like, I don't know, if you play it in handheld mode, it's probably fine. I think that Gotham Knight probably is going to be a little bit of a problem because it's got the open world and all the like driving. I
liked these games when they came out.
Yeah,
Batman or Arkham City specifically was so much fun.
Play. Sure, if this is how if you've never played them and this comes out, play the hell out of them. But if you have like, I don't know, if you've got like a 5-year-old computer, you could probably play these.
I'm like, really, I'm looking at the Switch for me as what specific AAA title is going to get me to play the Switch more than me just being on the go and have my Switch with me, where I'm like, I'm going to play games that I know that I like, which is like this. You know what I mean? Like that's really the only thing I could see myself diving into for this.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, go play it.
Go be Batman on Switch.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we saw Gloomhaven, which I will be really honest, I kind of tuned out a little bit on because it's like, have I seen
more
this?
like Borehaven?
I haven't seen this game before. Something like tactics RPG. Is this the game I'm thinking of? It's like a medieval tactics. Oh no, okay, it's an actual board game, and then
so it literally is Borehaven.
Turn-based combat. This actually came out October of last year on Steam. Okay, I mean, sure.
It looks like it's. I don't know. Like I don't know if it's just some of the. It looks like the screen. I don't know. It just looks like it's running in
like on a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, there's just like a delay, and I'm like, why would you show that? Like hide that shit. Like like that looks like it's losing frames.
Yeah, the frame rate on the little animations for the guys looks pretty bad. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Well, they got till September to figure it out, so
they're not gonna figure it out. It's fine. If you have a Switch, I mean, I think
they're Doomhavened.
I think there's a lot of games. I think there are a lot of gamers that just have a Switch, and it's like you're either going to play this Gloomhaven with the frame rate on the Switch, or you're just not going to play it at all. And so, if you're interested, hey, that's a way to play it.
That's true. That's very true.
Yeah. Let's see.
Very Doom and Gloomhaven.
Just Dance is a thing. This is Just Dance. I have nothing to say about Just Dance anymore. You know what Just Dance is.
I will be doing the Blackpink. How you like that though? Because I'm a Blackpink. Yeah. just to let everybody know if they're curious.
Just Dance makes me always feel old because every time they bring it out, they're like, "And check out this one from this person you've never heard of," and I'm like, "Oh no!" Music kept being made after I stopped listening to the radio.
Oh, this is what they're doing. It's a 1-month free trial, so now you can sign up like it's Spotify or whatever. And
wait, I know that Whitney Houston song. So
I know that Bad Bunny song and Miley. Oh, music and things.
Let's see. After that, we got Silent Hope, which this is a weird one. It's like a little like kind of top down.
Like dungeon crawler or something?
Yeah, like dungeon crawler with a bunch of it looks like it's going to be one of those there's a lot of games that kind of fall into this category where like you're going to go down and you're going to do some like rudimentary dungeoning, and then you're going to bring back those resources and you're going to put them in your camp, and then you're going to like
It's like
develop
Diablo a little bit.
yeah. Except the base camp thing is like a slightly different thing. Of course, I swear, I don't know if this is a Nintendo Switch game, but there's a princess trapped in a crystal, and the way these characters look, I'm like, is this like a Final Fantasy game that I've never heard of before?
Yeah, I was like, this is mini Final Fantasy, and there's been, I think, Tactics, is that what usually it is, where like they're doing the miniature, the Gundam SD, as it were.
Yeah, and then like a big ass anime action thing. So, yeah. Oh, I guess okay. It's from Exceed and Marvelous. That makes sense. That's the kind of generic ass RPG that they would put out.
Generic ass RPG.
Well, I think that I was just like going back to me talking about the farm thing. I think that over the last few years, we found that, if companies make sure to budget their resources well, they can make money on a product that not a lot of people actually purchase. Like you can put out a very niche RPG, and like the niche RPG bros will buy it up so hard that like you will make a certain amount of money as long as you don't spend like 10 years and millions of dollars like trying to develop.
You gonna make money.
The world's like Final Fantasy 16. Like if you just put out some garbage like this, there's plenty of people who are just like, yes, put that garbage directly in my mouth. I would like it.
Please, I will devour and I will consume.
Yes.
AKA, we'll be playing Silent Hope in the near future.
October 3rd. Oh yeah, this came out. This is the trailer for this game. This Fae Farm thing was in a different something.
Like they dropped it in a different like.
I think it might have been in the PC gaming show or something like that. And they were like, "Yeah, the wildly anticipated Fae Farm," and I was like, "I don't know what the fuck this is. It's just Harvest Moon, but you've got fairy wings." Like I'm sure that this will very much appeal to a lot of people. I think that what I said when we saw the trailer for it during the PC gaming show was, if this is Frog Fractions 4, I will play it, but otherwise, like, get away from me with that shit.
I just don't have any opinion on it. That's it's just, it doesn't hit any boxes for me.
Yeah.
It just looks like that's cool for some.
Yep.
And that's not, I'll pass.
Okay.
But no, seriously, I mean, it looks
it's fine for what it is.
Yeah.
It's what it is. Like you can't be mad at the fairy farming game, at a game called Fae Farm, for being a game where you play as a little fairy that farms. Why?
it looks a little bit like a Facebook game to me. Like that.
I can see that.
Like that's where like I feel like sometimes I get a little, I don't know, I get checked out because I'm like, this looks like a Facebook Farmville game, and there's the look and feel of that. And I mean, obviously, most people were around during the Farmville days, but like there was a distinct. I just felt like that wasn't gaming.
Yeah.
That was just like a cookie clicker or whatever, those types of games, like a flash game. So that alone is like, meh, I'll pass.
Yep, definitely for somebody, not for me.
Now this is for turbocharged
Hot Wheels Unleashed 2.
This shit actually looks fun. I've played a little bit of Track Runner or
Trackmania.
Yeah, that looks fun.
The first one of these, we played it, I think, at the end of either last year or the year before.
That's cool.
It was great. It was dynamite. It was a very good racer. It was kind of difficult, actually. Like, I had to kind of pay attention. I love the kind of the idea of putting the tracks through, like you're playing little Hot Wheels in the middle of like a big actual, like a backyard or like a den or something like that. And then they put in all these different cars that people like.
I love. Oh, sorry, I don't know this, but I love the fact that there's not a lot of like racers like this that exist anymore, because it's always your simulation games that come out, like your Forzas and your Gran Turismos. This to me is like one of the like F-Zero. Like they don't make F-Zero games except for Nintendo, but like there's not a lot of that hyper-realistic like racing like there was back in the early days of like Jet Moto and all this stuff. And I feel like Hot Wheels is a great like in between for that. Like you can do a lot with this franchise. So
absolutely. Let's see. After that, we saw this. What the fuck was this thing called? This is Manic Mechanics. This is like you've got an assembly line and you're putting parts on like a part fixer and then you're fixing cars. This is basically just like there's
the chef game or whatever.
Yeah. Overcooked.
Yeah.
Some of the ones like that. There's like another one called Moving Out where you have to like move a bunch of stuff out of a house. And
I was
going to
say Home Chef, but I was like, that's the real thing, and I'm like, that's kind of the same thing as the game, but it's fine.
Yeah, this is fine. I mean, it's just like it's another one of those games, and if you're into those games, I'm sure that this is real big. We saw the DLC for Mario Rabbids Sparks of Hope. This first DLC is fine. I actually really like this franchise, but they kind of shot themselves in the foot because they showed at Ubisoft's event that the third DLC is going to finally bring Rayman into this, because this is a tactical
about
shooter.
Fucking time. Like, good lord, how long are you gonna wait to get those characters together from that?
I haven't seen Rayman in forever, but yeah, these are really good games. This is like really good tactical RPGs.
I played the first one; it was actually not bad.
The second one, I think they let you just move for infinity now.
Nice,
which I was like, great. So yeah, looks all right. From there, we saw Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. This is a Dragon Quest game where your hero is like cursed and they can't ever harm a monster, and so instead you make friends with monsters and make them beat up the monsters.
So Dragon Quest has always been a game that I've wanted to desperately get into.
Yep.
But haven't yet. I don't know if it's just not easy to get into, or maybe I'm not a turn-based guy, but the art style is obviously the same as Dragon Ball and was it Akira? I don't remember the guy's name.
Toriyama, yeah.
That is just, oh man, that's pretty. I think this game I might play.
I actually think this is either a remake or a remaster of a previous game, because they had a very brief teaser for it a few weeks back. So
nice.
But yeah, you could breed the monsters like Monster Rancher, but then you take them out and make them fight like Pokemon, and it's all Dragon Quest. So like there you go. Those three tastes great. They taste great. They taste great. There's three great tastes that taste great.
Dragon Quest Monsters. The Dark Prince tastes great.
Yeah.
December 1st.
December 1st. Let's see. From there, we had not giant, but we had a pretty fair amount of Pikmin 4 information. That's not the right
Pikmin.
One.
What are your thoughts on Pikmin? Because I think I played 1 and 2.
You know what? Sometimes Nintendo puts out a Nintendo Direct, and I feel really bad because I'm just like, sometimes they talk about it's like, oh, let's go from Bayonetta to Metroid Dread. I'm just like, yes.
Yeah.
And sometimes I was like, let's talk about Pikmin 4, and I'm like, I didn't like any of them. I've always disliked
I just
all
think
of
it's
them.
dark.
Like,
you just throw these things to their death, and now you have a dog, and I'm like, that dog will probably die. Like, and I can't accept that. I have a big thing about animals, and I'm just like, this to me just feels cruel, and I know that that's ridiculous in a video game world, but I don't know. I just always felt like it had this very now this we just saw the scene with the house, which I thought was probably the most interesting part of this trailer. But there's just like, it just feels very much the same as any other Pikmin game, and I just am so meh on Pikmin.
I think having the dog is a new thing, they said, because you can kind of use the dog to go more. There's the world is more open. It's less like arenas and more like an open world. Like, it really, really, really bothers me that dog doesn't have a nose. Like, it really just, every time I look at that dog, I'm like, who did this to you? What happened to your nose? Where, like, and then it makes me think of the joke of my dog has no nose and how does he smell? Terrible. Like, so there's just a lot that's freaking me out here.
This is ridiculous. Yeah, there's no I didn't notice that before, but now.
Yeah. Once you see it, you'll never unsee it. Outside of that, it looks like a Pikmin game. Like, it looks like they've added some new mechanics. You're inside a little bit. You can go to various places. There's like it used to be that you had to get everything done before night, but there's a new nighttime mode where you can find these special glowing Pikmin that only come out at night. There's this Dandori battles where you've got to, like, whoever collects the most crap in their base wins. Somehow,
I feel like this is the type of game that you go online and you're going to play and be like, oh, I've never played this before. And you're just going to find like people that are just destroying other people.
Oh, sure.
And you're just like, I will never be good at this game.
Well, I think that's versus the computer, but I don't know. There might be an online mode at some point. Yeah, you can upgrade your dog. You can do different things. The problem that it comes down to for me is that I think I would totally try a Pikmin game. I think I'd be more apt to play a Pikmin game if you got to use a mouse and a keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
But every time you have to shoehorn like squad tactics games onto a controller, it always just kind of feels bad for me as somebody who grew up playing like Warcraft.
You know what
and
I really, really want to see now that I saw that scene where they're like in a house and sometimes they were like in a mechanical thing. I want the Army Men games back. Like,
yeah,
that to me would have been like, this seems like an environment where you're in a house or like some kind of electronic. That to me is like, you can sacrifice Army Men. That's what they're there for. They're just plastic Army Men, and that, I don't know. Those games used to exist, but they don't exist anymore.
You know what I want to see is I want to see the next Pikmin game take place in like a skyscraper, like Gremlins 2 or something.
Yeah, like I want the more real world aspect of Pikmin coming into like a mall or like a car, or
as opposed to like just they all seem to take place in the same backyard to me, but it could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe there was some that were in a mall before and I didn't know because I never played Pikmin 1 or 2. But I can now because they put out quick remasters of Pikmin 1 and 2.
Is 3 just available on the Switch already? Is that why?
Yeah, 3 came out. Wait, no. I don't know.
This is the Nintendo shit. Let's put out 1 and 2. This is 4. Good luck finding 3. Is that what we're doing?
Pikmin 3 was here's Pikmin 3 Deluxe for Nintendo Switch.
Okay, so
I think this got like I don't think this was originally a Switch game. I think it got remastered.
So it must already be on the store.
Yeah, it was on the Wii U.
Okay.
That's what it was. It was part of their we're going to put all the Wii U games that nobody played because they didn't have a Wii U.
Because they have a Wii U,
yeah, on the
which
on the
I actually have a Wii U for some reason.
Yeah, me too. It was it's no good.
Yeah,
Metal Gear Solid. You talk about a game that can probably run on Nintendo Switch hardware.
Yep.
PSX and PS2 games could probably run on the Switch hardware. This has MGS1, MGS2, MGS3, as well as both the NES and MSX ports of Metal Gear 1 and 2 and Metal Gear 1 and Snake's Revenge on the NES.
Gonna tell a quick story. Metal Gear Solid 2, I ended up renting that game when it came out, and I played it so much that I decided to say that I was sick when my parents would like go to school, and I was like, I'm sick, I can't go. And they're like, all right, well, somebody's got to watch it because I don't know if just wasn't able to be by myself. If they're like, well, if you're sick, you can't be by yourself. So I took my PlayStation 2 and I took it to my grandparents' house and I put it on their big TV and I fucking beat that game while I was quote unquote sick. And I was just like, yeah, this was worth it. This was way worth missing a math test for.
My story about MGS, I have a couple of them, but my story about MGS3 that I've told before is that when MGS3 was getting ready to come out, I worked at this job, and for weeks I was talking about how much I couldn't wait to play it, how I was so excited. And then it came out, and I got it. I think I went to a midnight launch on like a Thursday or something, and I got it, and I played it all night. I didn't get any sleep. And then I called in sick to my job on Friday, and they were like, Jeff, you've done nothing but talk about this game.
Yeah. You shot yourself in the foot.
When you left work yesterday, you said, I can't wait for the midnight launch that I'm going to tonight. We know what's happening.
24-hour bug, man. It hits you at random times.
No, that's not it. I swear.
It's like as you were playing the game, you had to then as you had to walk literally in that river where all the ghosts come back, and it was all of your stories about how excited you were about Metal Gear Solid 3.
It was just all my coworkers who had to work a double to cover my shift. This is a great collection. I'm really hoping at some point, someday, that MGS1 gets remade, because there's HD versions of 2 and 3 and then 4. In fact, actually, I think I read something. I need to maybe confirm this, so take it with a grain of salt. But somebody said that there was a data mine that found the MGS Collection Volume 2.
Yeah, I did see that as well.
That's going to have 4 in it, which is big because 4 hasn't been available anywhere but the PlayStation 3 since it came out.
Man, I remember beating that game and just being like, this. At this point, it was from 3 to 4.
Yeah.
And after I beat 4, I was like, I've lost track of what this fucking story is about. Like, I'm just like, I don't know what's happening
you get to the
anymore.
end of 2 and you're like, I can't wait to find out what happens next. And they're like, well, too bad because we're going back to the 60s.
Yeah. It's very much like a Wolverine story where you're like, but that's cool, but like, what is happening with? And then they're like, Raiden is now a robot. And you're like, what happened?
They also have the digital graphic novels for MGS 1 and 2, which those are always kind of interesting.
I mean, whatever you're going to put an extra on a game, awesome. Like, no problem with that. I think that's great. I think the Metal Gear Solid collection, when it first came out, I bought it, and still, those games are pristine. I love Kojima games. Yeah.
Yep. October 24th. Good that they'll be on the Switch
Release
as well.
Police Knots. Bastards.
I think that might be on. I think I might have put that out on Steam a little while back. Vampire Survivors is going to be on the Switch. That's great. Vampire Survivors is great.
Oh, I saw you play this game one time I came over, and it was hilarious because the entire screen was like, you're like, oh, they'll never hit me or damage me at this point, and I'm like, then what do you play for? Right? Like, what is what you've reached the peak, but there's more to it. I've
reached a point in my own Vampire Survivors save where I've unlocked the 30-minute time limit, and I've got so many goddamn power-ups that the screen is just incredibly full. I did, though, think this was interesting that they said that you can play up to 4-player co-op on the Switch, which is like, oh, I'd never seen that before. So, but yeah, Vampire Survivors is a great time. Everybody should buy Vampire Survivors. Good devs, good game.
It's like the balloons game. It's like you just get addicted to it, you know, just because it is what it is, and it does what it does well.
Yep. Was that August 17th? August 17th.
It's a pretty cool music party.
Yeah, the little things. Oh, this was in here. Okay. This weird battle royale rhythm game with pigeons called Headbangers Rhythm Royale, where it's like a bunch of little like mini games where you and a bunch of other people have to like, you do like follow the leader, or like play like a Simon game, and it's all these funky pigeons with various outfits. It looks like Fall Guys with like
I was gonna say, like,
pigeons.
it's very much in the, hey, we want to capture a bunch of people. There's totally a market for that, right? Like, what Fall Guys did really well for the, like, when it first came out was that it was just fun to play with 60 to 100 people or however many characters you could have on screen at once. I see this being somewhat successful if it's fun to play. Now, I don't quite understand the game. It kind of reminds me like more of like that Wario type game. What is like the WarioWare, yeah, where it's just like random. That may not work. I don't know. Some of these games look like they're weird.
Well, this one seems to be doing something. The thing that's different is like it's a battle royale rhythm game, right? So we've had rhythm games. We never had like a battle royale, and so kind of like Fall Guys is a battle royale game, but you're not like shooting people. You're just trying to get your little bean to the goal. This is like, well, you're just trying to do the various rhythm mini games that they're doing. Which, yeah, you were right that very much like WarioWare. But then you'll obviously get eliminated as time goes on.
Also, Parappa the Rappa. I remember playing that and having a good time. You know,
make a good battle royale game. That's coming out on Halloween this year. Also, they need to do a second pass on the little bird that they put in the D for headbangers.
They know exactly what they're doing.
That
Jeff.
looks like a dick.
They know exactly what they're doing with that.
As long as everybody knows it looks like a dick. Let's see. Penny's Big Breakaway is like an action kind of adventure third-person game. I think they said that was being made by... what did they say? This is being made by somebody who made... Was it like the last Sonic game?
It looks like a Sonic game.
What do we got? From Sonic Mania, which was like the last big throwback 2D Sonic game. So, looks like a pretty delightful like art style. It's got all these weird like,
pigeons,
penguins.
Oh, they're penguins
coming at you. I don't know.
Pigeons.
Yeah, coming out 2024. Let's see. We got some new booster courses and characters coming to the big Mario Kart Switch version.
Isn't it weird that Mario Kart is almost equal, or if not equal, to the Fast and the Furious movie releases? You know, we're on 8, or is that true? Or were you still?
It's Mario. Okay, it's Mario Kart Deluxe 8. But see, at a certain point on the Switch, they started releasing these packs of remastered courses from all of the previous Mario Kart games.
Which is cool.
Yeah,
but are we getting a 9? Or are we just going to call it Kart?
I think I think that the thing is that all of these bonus courses are in the Nintendo Switch expansion pass, and so I think that right now it's a big driver of getting people to sign up for their expansion pass thing. So
spend more money to get more content.
Yep. Star Ocean: The Second Story. Somebody is really, 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 really excited that this is getting remade and re-released. I've never been a Star Ocean guy. I think I tried playing 4 on like the PS2.
The very beginning of this looks like it's going to be like EVE Online, and then it cuts to this, and you're like, okay, now I get it. Because I'm like, there's no way that they could do a game in space with the Switch hardware.
Yeah, all of these games, somebody was talking about it in the Discord, so I was able to, I can sound like I know what I'm talking about. Like all the Star Ocean games, technically the plots of them tend to be like, oh, you're like a space traveler that then crashes on this like medieval world, or somehow get roped into being stranded in this medieval world. So you're like this technological like Starfleet guy that's got put into a Final Fantasy, and then you've got to like interact with all the
beautiful animation. People. I mean that it's like they took real life assets and then they put these like colorful 3D characters in it, and it actually looks like it pops pretty well. I remember. I feel like this is one of the games that, like, if it was released on the 360 and it was like they would have like 2 discs because there would be so much content that you have to get through.
Yeah, it reminds me of oh god, what was that? What's the other? It reminds me of a lot of those Tales games or like the Ease games that they keep remastering, yes. And I'm just like, boy, These
must be huge in Japan or something. Like like these
blinked and I missed it. I guess. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a great remaster.
Jump into the ocean for stars.
Yeah, November 2nd.
Speaking of Wario,
yeah, there's a new WarioWare. This is WarioWare Move It, which
that literally was a video of a guy shaking his ass.
What was the one? Nope. Okay. Yep. I was gonna say this isn't a remake because the Wii one was called Smooth Moves. But there was one that was a motion one before on the Wii. This one is also motion. You are like putting the 2 controllers in your hands, using the motion controls to do a bunch of like silly stuff. I'm not the largest fan in the world of when the games want you to get up and move around.
Just let me sit and pretend that I'm athletic, please.
Yeah. Let me hit the jump button to make that guy jump over a fence. Come on, don't make me stand up and move around and get all sweaty and shit.
I just would love to replay the time. Like Fusion Frenzy was a game that came out for Xbox that at first I was like, this game is not Mario Party, it sucks. But then like going to a college environment or like a high school environment where you could actually play it with friends, if you can capture that in any game, it's so worth it. Like, if WarioWare Move It is worth it, awesome.
Yeah.
But it's a lot less enticing if I actually have to fucking move, Because those games were great about sitting back, having a beer, hanging out with your friends, and just, like, going to town on a fucking joystick. Like, no, I don't want to get up and, like, dance my ass around. That sounds weird.
I don't know. It's coming out November 3rd. Maybe I can convince the community to let me do this instead of the dance party this year or something. And you know what? We're going to take a break here real fast because we got this Nintendo Live 2023 weird thing that's happening in Seattle where it's like you can get your picture taken with Mario, and they're also doing a bunch of championships and tourneys, and then they talked about PAX and the Smash Challenge Cup, which I'm sure a lot of people are mad about.
Yeah, I'm like, so what they've done basically. Oh, are we going to talk about it after the break?
What, this?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because I know that there's controversy because Nintendo's copyright struck a lot of other, like, Super Smash Bros. Tournaments, right?
There was a whole thing where there was an unlicensed Smash Brothers tournament that was getting harassed by the company, by a real shithead in the company that Nintendo had contracted with to run their official league tournaments. The thing is that I went over this many podcasts ago, and I think that, like, I think what happened, right, was that the unofficial tournaments had like a sympathetic ear at Nintendo, and they were like, and I think that what happened was that they didn't understand that, like, this lady was allowing them to do their tournaments, but like. And she was giving them some like light support, but like nothing official because you're not allowed to. This is unofficial. This is off the books. And when this guy that was running the official tournament started trying to like suck away players and snake venues,
doing like shitty things to a free event,
right?
Or whatever. Yeah.
Then these guys that are running the unofficial tournament basically like implored their rep at Nintendo to be like, "We need you to make an official statement saying like this guy needs to back the fuck off and leave us alone and quit trying to do stuff." At which point,
They just like literally double down. Like, we're gonna copyright strike.
Well, no, that this poor person was just like, no. Now we have to put out a release saying like, if you're not officially. Like, if you're not on the list of names, then like you're not allowed to do Smash Brothers tournaments, and like we're not going to allow you to use any of the artwork or any of the names or any of the licensing or any of this stuff. It was one of those things where like they probably could have kept going if they were cool. By the same token, the guy on the other side was acting like a complete jackass.
Yeah, this is the side of the house where it's like you can't have nice things. It sucks.
Right.
This is the may not be like one person is at fault more than the other. It's just this is why we can't have nice things.
And like I know that a lot of people in the Smash Brothers community were like, well, they've been running this unofficial Smash tournament for like 4 years. And they started during the pandemic, and like they're nice guys and they always do everything right and blah 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 blah. And it's just like, yeah, man, but like. Now you're dealing with official corporate policy.
Yeah, like you're not going to win. Like it just don't.
Like there's a lot of stuff, a lot of times that you can do, as long as you're cool and like
you have to get permission. You have to get like you got to get permission, and if you don't, you got to know at any point.
Or there's a lot of stuff like this that you can do where you can like. You can do the ask for forgiveness instead of permission thing. In fact, don't ask for permission, and they might just let it slide under the radar. But if you stick your head up and you make a nuisance and you say, I need you to put down on a piece of paper that I'm allowed to do this, and they're going to be like, not only are you not allowed to do this, you were never allowed to do this, no one's allowed to do this, and now I have to write that on a piece of paper and fucking say it out loud.
And then you're just like, God damn, what? Oh, man, I should not have said anything at all.
Yeah. I think the other thing that Smash, I don't know, maybe the Smash community is tighter knit than I thought, but the other thing is that if I know anything from video games, Nintendo did that, and then they fired the asshole guy. They shut down the unofficial tournament. They said nothing for 6 months, and now they're just announcing this. I'm sure that plenty of people are just going to be like, okay.
They'll be like, fuck this.
Yep, I'm just going to go. I'm going to play. I'm going to do it.
Now I get it.
We'll see. And then right before we take a break here, there's some Tears of the Kingdom amiibos.
Ooh.
There's a Zelda one where she's holding the Master Sword, and there's the big stupid sexy Ganondorf that everybody likes, the new big Ganondorf, and those are coming holiday this year.
He looks like a character from Full Metal Alchemist or something.
They've somebody online made a really great thing where like if you draw like where his chin would be and then you shave off his beard, he looks really ridiculous because
like it's like it's like a chin chisel. Like
he looks like he doesn't have a chin basically. Once you like take the hair off of it, it looks like it
just goes right into his neck.
Goes right into his neck, and he looks really weird. Anyway, and with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we are going to talk about the last thing, the most exciting thing, the big thing. So stick around. We'll see you in just a second.
I'm back. We're back.
It's time. It's time for part 2, and it's time for the most exciting thing that was announced at this Nintendo Direct. Super Mario Brothers Wonder, a brand new I always feel bad saying 2D because nothing is actually 2D. It's 3D, 2D, but a new Mario Brothers, new side-scrolling Mario Brothers game. It's been... I think the last one of these was like New Super Mario Brothers U
yes.
that they got re-released. Because we had Super Mario Odyssey that was on the launch of the Switch, but it's been a while since we've had a new Mario game. I love it when they do these. I absolutely love it.
Like I said, do what you do well, and they're doing exactly what they do well. Now, what I ended up paying... I don't know what I was doing. I was probably reading One Piece, but I was trying to pay attention to this.
Yeah.
And I feel like what I got at the end of it was, it's Mario with a little bit of wonder and elephants. Is that basically like kind of where we're at with this? It actually is,
So here's the thing. I actually know from there's like a course when you go work for Nintendo where they teach you how to make Mario levels. It's like how to make a fun Mario level, and it's like
Super Mario Maker type,
sort of, but it's like a training program where like the new people that are going to be working on it will go through it. It's basically just like teaching you Nintendo's philosophy about how to make like a fun side-scrolling game.
That sounds awesome. Is that in the States or is that Japan? Or like
I think you have to go work for Nintendo for that to happen.
Damn!
I don't even know if they still do that, but like, so the thing is that I feel like when they do that, a lot of times, then they get good ideas for new Mario games. And the thing that's interesting about this particular trailer is that like, you know, whenever they make one of these new games, they always come up with like, I'm looking at this trailer and it's like, okay, there's some Koopas on roller skates.
Right.
I've never seen that before. And here's like these big weird roly-poly purple guys. I've never seen them before. Here's like this little talking plant. But the big thing for this seems to be that there's these wonder fruit, and when you get them, it changes the world state into like Wacky Town, USA. Like there's a part where he's running along and there's like a horizontal pipe. And then it just like
it's like a slug or a worm, right?
Yeah, it starts to ripple and then it just starts inchworming its way around. And there's like the silhouette part where they've got Mario growing all big. There's all these kind of crazy things. We see that it's got, Mario, Luigi, or actually, I don't know if Luigi's in here because it's got Mario, Peach, Toad, and Daisy are all playable characters. I don't know if they'll be saving Luigi for the Super Luigi Wonder. Oh, no, wait. There he is.
I was like, they're just going to leave him out just to help Jeff out. They're like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah. But, this is just one of those things where they're really, really good at making just like, I feel like whenever I play one of these games, I'm always like, oh, shit, I've never seen a Mario level like that before.
Oh, they even reference 2. That might be the hook for me.
Yeah.
That's such a the very slight reference to 2.
Oh, where they turn out the lights?
The POW.
Oh, yeah.
Or actually, that's probably the original. What you've referenced and what I think they do really well is Nintendo protects its, like you're saying, like teaching people how to like make a really good game. A lot of that too is protecting the trademark, as we were just discussing, and knowing that you have a world where if you have something that's very slight out of place, people notice it because they're so used to the world that they're accustomed to. And Mario has had so many revisions that people know it enough to be like, this is different, even though it looks similar to every other Mario game. You're going to get these elements of like, oh, there's an elephant in this fucking game,
right?
You know, like that to me is like what I remember because that's something that isn't in a Mario game, and it's 2D, not the 3D open world shit where you go to New York, right? Like that. That's different.
This is Mario Odyssey. Yeah, that's the. I mean, okay, so I guess I should say that they put out Super Mario 3D World. They re-released that for the Switch at some point.
Yes.
And then they also have Super Mario's U. But yeah, at the very end, Mario turns into an elephant Mario. And it's like, oh, well, that's something we haven't seen before.
It's like they should have just turned him into a shark and then have him jump himself because that might be where we're at.
I don't know. Everything about this just looks like a really fun Mario game. And that's one of those things where I think that the industry is still, I was talking before about like horror games or farming games and how like the industry is like, nobody wants those anymore. And then they make them and it makes a lot of money. I don't feel like there's been as many 2D side-scrolling games. Like Rayman had a couple of really good ones back in the PS3, PS4 era. But yeah, I'm super excited because I know that these will all be full of incredibly well-crafted, like, fun levels, and there'll be a gajillion of them.
Yep.
And it'll just be something you can sit down and be like, woo, playing some Mario. It's one of the few things left, I think, that activates those, like, oh, I remember from when I was a kid, mirror neurons in your head.
Is it me, or does Mario games, I think maybe for the first one, maybe, did they have like a really like a bookend ending, or is it mainly just okay, you're still in the world, go? Like I felt like with the last few side-scrolling games, you would go through it all, you would do the Bowser bit, but then it just feels like you just go back into the world, like it just is kind of like it's an endless loop, and that's how I feel like Wonder is going to be, is like even though you'll beat it, you'll just keep playing it over and over again.
Well, I think that most of them are. I mean, I think Odyssey was like that as well.
Yeah,
Or when you beat it,
I couldn't figure out how to beat Odyssey. I put so many hours, and I'm like, well, I'm just going to give up because there's still more things to do.
I think that that's what the modern Mario games basically are like, where it's like, yes, you can beat it, but then if you want, there's just like 4 times as much shit for you to go back through, or master every level, or do it in a certain time, or do these challenge runs or whatever. Which, you know, if it's a well-made game, like,
you'll do it.
Great.
Yeah.
I've always been content just to get to the end and then go, okay, that's all right. I have a life.
I want that little achievement button. I'm good. Done. That used to be what I lived on. I was like, just rent the Blockbuster games, get the achievements, and then you were good. And that's how good of a gamer you were. Is how many. Man, I had issues.
I like these missile bills too. It was kind of like artillery looking level with these like crazy missile bills.
It's the color pop, I think, is what really makes this. And this pixelated like change of a castle into just
a little Toad house thing. Even that's not even a toad, but yeah, it's been a while, and I for one am really happy to get just like plain Jane S Mario back. Like, I do like Mario Odyssey, and I do like a lot of the 3D Marios. You know, and it's one of those things I talk about a lot with Nintendo is like, Nintendo doesn't make bad games. Like, I may not like the Kirby games, but they're good. They're good, well-made games. So
where's the bottom floor though on bad? That's
on Nintendo,
or top, I guess, if you're thinking about it.
Like, what's the worst Nintendo?
Yeah, because like certainly there's a Nintendo game that's just ass. Maybe people in the comments could say, but I'm like, is there an ass Nintendo Switch, like a Nintendo Switch game, or like where would you say like that stops? Because I'm sure like back in the early Nintendo days,
you know, I see here's the thing is I think that even the games that may classify that may be like the least popular games are still very well made games, like Arms.
Oh, I played Arms.
Yeah. Where it's like, nobody ever talks about Arms, and like they put it out and it seemed like it was fine, but it wasn't really that big deal, and then like it was gone. But they never put out. They've gotten to a point now where they've got a big enough war chest and they've got seasoned enough developers that I feel like there might be games that aren't very fun, but then they just don't ever put them out.
Well, see that they're not doing a Cyberpunk. Like they're not putting out unfinished games.
Sure.
Right? And that's something that's crazy because it happens at almost every other publisher. Right?
Yep. It's one of the I always talk a lot about without veering off too hard into a different discussion entirely. Nintendo is an incredibly conservative company, and I think that they have never. That means that a lot of times they're slow to adopt trends, and one of the trends they've been really slow to adopt is the idea that like Nintendo has for their entire life had a philosophy of like, we want it to just work out of the box. We want people to take the thing that we made out of the box. We want it to be delightful, and we want them to put a game in and go, wow, amazing. And if it takes an extra year,
expansion pack or money, right, like,
right. Well, no, it took Nintendo so long to start putting out DLC. Like, they didn't put out DLC for the longest time. Now they put out DLC for everything because they learned where the money is. But anyway, Super Mario Brothers Wonder. This one looks great. It's also cool that it's going to be out this year. Like, that's why I thought that this was like kind of like their E3, because there were so many Super Mario RPGs coming out this year. Super Mario Wonder's coming out this year. There was a bunch of things that are coming out later this year. So this kind of like stacks up their catalog for the rest of the year.
Do you feel like there's just, you got good stuff there? There's a few. There's like that Tower of Wonder. I feel like they're just missing another. Like they didn't have another one punch. They had like a one punch, but not a 1-2.
I think so. I think that the thing that might be that for a while now, Nintendo has had a lot of. If I'm reading what you're saying correctly, I think that for a while now, Nintendo has had some older skewing properties that have always been on the horizon. You had Bayonetta, you had Metroid Dread, you had the new Tears of the Kingdom, and that this was very like. You know, we had a lot of Mario. There was a WarioWare. There was a bunch of like farming games.
They're in this cycle this year, basically. That feel, and I agree. I think the big thing is like they're doing a big release title with Wonder, and they're doing a remaster title with RPG. Like those are the two like 1-2 that they have.
Yeah, I
really do feel like Metal Gear Solid's a lot of good stuff. The WarioWare might be interesting, but you know, some of those the Dragon's Lair game, I forget what that's called, the one that's got the cartoon look,
the Dragon Warrior,
that might be a lot of fun. Sure. And the Sonic game for me, but other than that, give or
the
take.
the one that I was probably missing was, and it's stupid of me to say this, but like, it would have been nice to have seen a tease for Tears of the Kingdom DLC. It would have been nice to see a tease for. I really thought that the Metroid Prime remake that they put out was great. I really wish they would do that with the other two. I don't think they'll commit to doing all of those. They may put out like remasters of them. But yeah, this is what happens with the Nintendo Direct, right? As you roll the dice, and like sometimes you watch Nintendo Direct, you're just like, I can't wait for all that shit. And sometimes you do it, and it's like, this is a lot of this isn't for me. So
it'll be an interesting holiday season for them. I think you'll see a lot of Mario stocks up, and then maybe not so much for the Sonic stocks if the Sonic generations don't go well, whatever that game's called.
Well, if I mean the nice thing about Nintendo always, right, is and then the decks are cleared, all the Mario games are out of the way. All right, what is the next one? What do you got for me next?
Yeah,
you
and
know?
that does kind of scratch that itch. And I'm curious what the next, because we've got a Zelda, right?
Yep.
We've got a Mario now.
Yep.
Another 3D Mario, like I don't.
Let's see. If I had to take a guess for what the next thing that we haven't seen in
maybe
a while,
they're going to do like
there was a Kirby, there was a
Dark Knight game,
Fire Emblem, there was a Pokemon, there was a Metroid, there was Bayonetta, there was Tears of the Kingdom, there was a Mario. Whew. Yeah, Pikmin.
Was it Icarus game? No,
Kid Icarus, maybe you could see a Kid Icarus game. I see. The thing is that I think that Smash is now old enough that you might be starting to hear the rumblings of a new Smash, but I don't think they're ready for that. I honestly think that like at this point we'll have to see, but that
maybe new console, is that the new thing?
For me, yeah, the next thing is like the Switch 2. Or the Switch 4K that everybody thinks has been in development, but we've never actually seen. So, I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, now we have the regular news. You've only gotten to experience the...
that was fun. The
conference news. But now we have the regular RageSelect news show. There wasn't a lot of news this week, so I actually should be pretty quick. And we also don't have a shitload of time, so we're probably going to have to do this pretty quick. This actually was a news story from last week, but I cut it because we already had a 3-hour podcast. So there's a company called Embracer Group that has been snapping up properties left and right. They bought Thief and Deus Ex and Tomb Raider from Square Enix for ridiculously low, like $50 million or something.
Buying the market share, trying to get in, basically.
Yes. There were Swedish gaming like investment conglomerate that started like snapping up a lot of stuff, and it was weird what they were getting because like Square let Deus Ex go, right? They got the developers of the new Saints Row game went to them. They bought Dark Horse Comics. They've been on this spending spree where they've just been acquiring properties left and right, and it's been kind of interesting because a lot of us have been very happy to be like, they seem like all of the things that they were putting out, all the messaging they were putting out was like, we want to buy Eidos Montreal and then let them make just whatever Deus Ex game they want without breathing down their necks and insisting on multiplayer, doing blah, blah. And we're just like, thank God, finally. So this actually was a rumor that happened a little while back, but they were expecting like $3 billion worth of investment capital. 2 was coming from a mystery investor, and 1 was coming from that Saudi investment group that is like I don't know if you know about this. There's like a Saudi investment group that keeps buying, like they own like a lot of Bandai Namco. They own not just games, but they're basically trying to take all the oil money and like diversify it. So by the time the oil runs out, they're like dug into a bunch of other companies that can make the
and we're talking about money. A comic and Dark Horse Comics, right? Because like you're explaining like what's happening in real life, and I'm like, this sounds like a really good setup to like a villain story, right?
Johnny Mnemonic 2. Yeah. Well, the thing is that we learned that $2 billion investor didn't come through, and I believe the $1 billion they were supposed to get from the Saudi government also did not come through, and so like they basically just like
defaulted on all of their promises.
Well, they lost a huge chunk of operating revenue that they were counting on from these deals that fell through. And so there's this statement that got put out where like it seems like now they're going to have to constrict all of the business. They're going to start, nothing that has been announced currently will be canceled. So like any new games that are currently in development are going to be able to go through, but they're probably going to start taking the axe to studios that are not making money, that are like, so Saints Row, they did a reboot of Saints Row that came out. I really enjoyed it. It didn't make a lot of money. It didn't sell very well, and everybody was like, meh, whatever. Embracer was like, oh, you know, we thought it did okay. We're going to kind of like let them go through and do the bug fixes and see if they can make the best thing that they can. I think that studio's days might be numbered now. One of the big things that they got was they bought the rights to make, they announced they were going to do 5 Lord of the Rings tie-in games.
5?
Yeah, 5 different Lord of the Rings tie-in games.
Was one of them Gollum?
No, that was a
thank Gollum.
That was an old deal with an old company. But that they're going to be kind of constricting. Crystal Dynamics came out and said that their new Tomb Raider game and their Perfect Dark game that they're making are both unaffected by this. But it would be sad to see a bunch of like gaming properties that have potential get bought by a company that isn't trying to get every last goddamn dollar out. Like Square Enix had Deus Ex and kept expecting it to sell like Call of Duty, and then when it didn't, they got really mad.
And they put it in a corner.
Yes.
Right? Yep.
Well, they just kept getting all pissed off. So it was like, oh, cool. Now that we can finally get this franchise back, but like, maybe not. Maybe not now. Like, depending on if this parent group is in dire enough financial straits, there might end up being cuts of stuff that had a lot of potential. But this is just the very beginning of the story, so we will have to look as time goes on. I really wish they could all just be independent studios. Why does Crystal Dynamics need to be owned by anybody? Can't they just go make Tomb Raider games?
Man,
like,
fuck money. Just do you.
Yeah.
Just stop trying to have somebody else tell you what to do.
Yes.
Just do you.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, that happened. That actually happened like I think 2 weeks ago, but we're just getting to it now. The Microsoft acquisition of Activision Blizzard has been blocked by a restraining order from the FTC. So I don't know how much you're following this, but the European Union approved this sale. The CMA, market protection in the UK, has said, nah, bro. The FTC has been kind of... they sued at one point. The funniest thing about this, though, is that everybody in this story is like, oh, thank God they issued a restraining order. Because the thing is that when you issue a restraining order, it can't be indefinite. It has to have an expiration. And so it's basically accelerated the entire process, because what's going to happen is that the FTC and Microsoft will then go in front of a judge to basically argue over whether there should be a restraining order, and if Microsoft wins, then they can proceed with the purchase, which is something that like this thing has to be done by July 18th, or the deal is off, and Microsoft either has to renegotiate or pay a $3 billion like forfeiture fee to Activision. It's so funny though, because like Microsoft wants to buy Activision. Activision would like to be purchased by Microsoft, and it's just like the governments of the world saying, wait a minute, come on, man, nah.
Well, it's interesting to me because Microsoft got a big uptick in their revenue and their stock because of the use of AI. They were the first people to come in and be like, oh, we'll do your PowerPoints for you. Like, I don't know, like they're using a lot of AI with their systems, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to me, I was going to ask you, so Microsoft buys Blizzard, and I'm very much of a novice gamer. So what does that really mean, though? Because a lot of titles just come out on platforms, like, doesn't matter, it's cross-platform, right? Like,
sure.
So by Microsoft gaining Activision Blizzard, what would that mean for the gaming scape, like world, like the scape of the gaming world?
So it's very complicated. Here's the highlights. Let me see if I can just put this together in my head. Okay, so the biggest entity that doesn't want this to happen is Sony, because they think that Microsoft will eventually, and Microsoft is making all of these like 10-year deals about like letting stuff go to other places, but Sony thinks that Microsoft will use its size, its leverage, and Game Pass to basically eventually take Call of Duty away from PlayStation as a platform. And like if that happens, that of course Call of Duty is a goddamn money juggernaut, right? So like the idea that Blizzard that Microsoft could eventually take, say, Call of Duty, Diablo, World of
Doritos,
Warcraft,
Mountain Dew.
yes, to take all that stuff away from the PlayStation sector in order to try to drive people to buy Game Pass and or Xboxes. That's one thing. Some of the arguments have been made by regulatory commissions are just like, it's just not good to have like 30% of the entire video game industry owned by one entity, because the thing is that if you're not keeping up with this, this is the latest purchase by Microsoft, who also 2 years ago purchased Bethesda, which it was ZeniMax, which is also id Software. They purchased Obsidian. They purchased Double Fine. They purchased I think Tequila Softworks or a few other different entities. They've snapped up a lot of talent and a lot of like the biggest. I mean, the thing is that the best. I'm kind of weirdly neutral with this because it's hard to know what the future is. Microsoft says Microsoft doesn't have as much first-party gaming as they used to, and so their rationale is just like, we're just going to buy our way into it with our huge war chest instead of trying to like do the development, fight Sony's development.
We're done with the Halos. We're just going to buy that shit.
Right. Yeah. So Microsoft keeps trying to kind of make the case that it's like, well, we're not trying to, because like if you take Call of Duty off the PlayStation and you own Activision, you also are going to lose all of the income that you would get from selling your product on the PlayStation. So on the one hand, like I can see this being like, well, you're overreacting. Microsoft is never going to they're never going to be a mustache twirling villain. They're giving good value. They're just looking to basically kind of consolidate this stuff to have this huge stable of games that they can then put on Game Pass to try to get people into the Xbox ecosystem. The biggest red flag refutation of that logic is the fact that Microsoft has made Starfield, the next Bethesda game, an Xbox exclusive.
Oops.
So Xbox,
we're not going to do that.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Like, so the next Skyrim is basically platform locked to Xbox for as long as they want it. There was actually a story a little while back that said that Redfall, the Arcane Austin's latest game, they were developing it for all platforms, and Microsoft came in and said, like, go ahead and drag that PlayStation folder to the recycle bin. We're not going to need that.
So what's interesting is that at some point, will the backlash from gamers about it not being on a platform have any effect? Because I mean, like at the end of the day, this is what it was back in the day, right? Like you have to get a PlayStation to play Grand Theft Auto. Like that was just one of the stipulations that you had to do.
I mean, we just got done talking about how Pokemon will never be on the Xbox, right? Like, and there's been a lot of weird stuff where you'll have like Congress people that are like, but what if they take Call of Duty off the PlayStation? And it's like, what if Spider-Man is only on the PlayStation? What if Spider-Man, the Spider-Man game, is only available on the PlayStation? Oh, wait, that's already happened. What if Final Fantasy 16 that came out last week is only a PS5 game right now and you cannot get it on anything else? Like, this already happened. So the idea of clutching your pearls and going like, oh no, what do you mean? Especially when Microsoft has said, we will sign a contract right now that says we guarantee you 10 years of Call of Duty, and that is more than enough time for you to make your own fucking Call of Duty if that's what you want to do. So, and then you go into the thing of like Microsoft seems like they're fairly sensitive to bad press, so it's very possible. But on the other hand, Microsoft is also not immune to throwing around their gigantic financial weight in dickish ways to just be like, I mean, yeah, Call of Duty is an Xbox game now. Fuck you. You're like, but I want. But I want. Like, I don't care. This is a $3 trillion company. Like, I don't care what the guy on Twitter, I don't care what Call of Duty XX420 on Twitter says about Microsoft. Like, I live in a golden house. Like,
that is interesting. I think that hopefully in the future, I would hope that they don't allow this, just because I do like the idea that you don't get that guaranteed content of crap. You know what I mean? Like it'll just be endless. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
I don't know. I mean, the real question comes, if the FTC approves it, what do they do? Because then there's all these questions about, like, since the UK CMA has blocked the deal, well, you could run through it, the purchase, but then there's these crazy things where they're talking about like maybe Microsoft will shut down the UK branch of Activision and just liquidate it entirely and be like, well, there is no this company doesn't exist in this company
solution,
right?
Yeah.
So okay, well, here's Call of Duty. That's a Microsoft game made by Microsoft. I'm Microsoft, and I'm putting out Call of Duty in the UK. Is the Activision logo on it? No, that company doesn't exist here.
Who cares? Yeah,
Like,
that's an interesting dude. The lawyers run everything these days.
You run into some really weird shit. So. Speaking of Microsoft, we got a couple of other stories for them. This week, Microsoft came out and said that they are no longer interested in making games for the Xbox One.
And anyone who has a problem with that, it's like, hey, they did the same thing with you. Gotta move on.
Yeah, I for one think that so. This should have happened like 2 years ago, and it was only the pandemic making the supply chain of consoles, making it difficult to get consoles, that this hasn't already happened. Like, the cross-gen usually lasts for about 2 years, and honestly, like, if you don't have a new gen console, I'm very sorry. I know they're very expensive, but in order to make games start looking better, they need to be focused on just like running on this hardware, not
We just talked about a company or a conglomerate that's running out of money to finish games.
Right.
You can't spend resources trying to make something work for a small percentage of people that just, you could theoretically still play your Xbox One, but you're not going to get new content. You've got to kind of go up. So I get it.
And this has already happened a few other places, like PlayStation 5. They put out a DLC for the last Horizon game, and the DLC was only for the PS5. And it was like, oh, okay, I guess. So, yep. Time to get the upgrades out. Yep. Let's see. Also, Microsoft is raising the price of the Xbox Series X in a bunch of markets.
Let me guess. The reason is because of inflation.
Sort of. What's strange, though, is that this isn't happening in... it's happening in most countries except for the United States, Japan, Chile, Brazil, and Colombia.
Oh,
so,
well, haha, everybody else, Canada, sorry about you. You about to spend some more money on them Xboxes.
Yeah, I looked this up, and I don't know what all the currencies are like, but basically, I found a hard time finding a story that actually showed how much it was going to be raised. So, like, here it says it's going to be £479 in the UK, 549 euros across most European markets, 649 Canadian whatevers in Canada, and 799 shrimps on the Barbie in Australia, or whatever they use down there. And the thing is that I went to go look and be like, how much is this? And it's basically like 50 of your country units more. Higher, basically.
It's a game more, basically,
yes,
right? Like,
yes.
Price of the game.
It's a little strange. I did want to point this out because I did think it was really strange, because in all previous console generations, console prices do not go up. A new revision of the console comes out that costs more, and the existing one goes down. We do not see generally. The PS4 didn't get a $50 price increase like 3 years into its life cycle. No, we got a PS4 Pro that costs $50 more than the MSRP.
Yeah,
and then they lowered it. In fact, the Series S pricing is remaining at $300 American dollars throughout all of the regions. So. But like most financial stuff, if gamers will pay for it, then they will raise the prices, I know a lot of people who were very mad when the price of default games was going up to $70.
I was fucking one of them because I was like, I'm spending almost $150 for 2 games.
Yep.
Oh, not almost. I am spending $150 because if it taxes, you're screwed. Like, we are living in, I don't know, I think the PlayStation games actually back in the day weren't they like $59.99? Like the OG PlayStation games?
Oh, I think originally games were $50 for a long time.
Yeah,
I mean that was until like the I think maybe the PS3 generation was when it finally went up to 60.
15, yeah.
But then the thing is that it's remained 60 for a long time.
10, 15 years.
So my stance on that has always been the same. It has been like, I'm willing to pay $100 for a video game if it's good. But the problem is you keep asking me to pay $70 for a crap game, and I don't want to do that. So,
meanwhile, Steel Battalion's like $700 for a game.
Right,
Anybody?
Right.
Okay.
Also, though, part of this news is that Game Pass subscriptions are going up by like $4 or $5 a month. So, the base subscription for Game Pass is going from $9.99 to $10.99, but then the ultimate one I think is going from like $12.99 to like $14.99 or something like that.
They're getting some more pennies for the troubles.
I mean, this is kind of this is the way, right?
This is the way.
Where like if you raise it by enough that it's like, well, that sucks, but I'm not ready to cancel my subscription.
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Remember the comparison? Netflix just canceled my Netflix subscription.
Yep.
If they would have just hiked the price, don't feel like it would have been, people would have paid it. But now, because they've made a point where it's like you can't share your password, you can't share. It's like no, I'm not doing that.
Actually, I mean, I don't. I'm sure you've seen the stories where it's like Netflix announced that they saw like a 15% increase in subscriptions when they implemented that because it did what they wanted. Actually,
but how many of the the data is going to show that? But how much of the original subscribers did you lose? Because they're just saying that we got 15% new subscribers.
Yeah, something like that. I just made that.
No. But like you're right. Like that's what that's what they've banked their data on, and that will work for investors. But we're back in this whole sacrifice the quarter.
Right.
Or sacrifice the rest of the company for the quarter. Like, it's crazy.
Yep. I agree. I'm about to cut my Netflix just because I don't know. I watched like I'm waiting for there to be just like 2 weeks when there's nothing I want to watch on it, and like I actually hadn't watched my Netflix in a long time, and then right when they announced this, they put I think you should leave season 3 on, and I was like, well, I have to watch that, and they put Black Mirror season 6 last week, and I was like, well, God damn it. So
you just cancel and go back to it. That's the best thing about it. You do not have to worry.
This is also, though, this Game Pass, this is another good reason that a lot of people will point out of like, if Microsoft has all the games that you want to play and they're on Game Pass, but now Game Pass is $30 a month. And you're like, well, fuck, I guess I'll have to pay $30 a month.
On top of whatever you're paying for online.
Yeah, for internet and the whole rest of it. Let's see. We also got... a brief Halo story this week. Halo Infinite has seasons that have been going through, and I didn't actually know this, but the online multiplayer seasons have had like these cutscenes. There's like an ongoing story that they've been doing, and so they have these little cutscenes.
It's like forever not seeing the Master Chief's face. Is that what?
Basically, I have no idea what Infinite. I've kind of fell off, but they have these relatively well-produced cutscenes that have been coming with a lot of the different seasonal content. They just announced that the latest season, the new season, season 4, it's just about to start. They are axing the cutscenes in order to take all of that work and put it towards like features and things.
So like, we need more content. Damn it, we can't leave it to the game.
Yeah. So, which I think is pretty good. I mean, the biggest story for Halo has been that this latest one was rushed to market, didn't do as well as it was supposed to. It's kind of, the whole team's kind of a mess. They axed a bunch of people from it.
Huge Halo fan. Didn't play this Infinite game at all. Didn't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you lose the number, you lose me. I don't know. It's not Halo 6. It's Halo Infinite. Like,
Yeah, the thing is, Michael's like the biggest Halo fan that I know, and he was like, yeah, it wasn't all that great. And I'm like, well, if you didn't like it, then I'm fucking not going to pay.
No way. No way.
So, yeah. But I don't know. I mean, hopefully they'll keep trucking along. I hope they just start a new one pretty soon, because this one seems like it's not working out. PlayStation Plus is getting PS5 game streaming beta happening.
Like the Xbox cloud gaming?
Yeah, like the xCloud stuff, where it's not streaming, because right now I think it already streams PS3, PS4 games. Some of the PS4 games I think you can install, but like PS3 games have always been streaming. But now they're looking at doing PS5 streaming games as well. Oh, actually, sorry, I go back to that. We're not going to make games for the Xbox One anymore. One of the things that Matt Booty, the guy that was in the interview that talked about that, said was like, you know what you can do, though, is you can literally stream Xbox Series X games through the browser of the Xbox One.
That's hilarious.
But this is PlayStation doing streaming. I think that a lot of this is going to be tech that maybe goes into, they announced at their PlayStation, one of their conferences, that they're doing a little like handheld. It's like a Switch, but it's made specifically to stream PS5 games in your internal network.
It's like a Vita. No. It's not a Vita.
Right.
It's a Vita.
It's so you can't get outside of your Wi-Fi network.
So it's a Wii U Vita.
Basically, it's the Wii U pad, but for a PlayStation 5.
We've done this before, Sony. What are you doing? Stop it. Just create a handheld system. Oh wait, that's the Steam Deck.
Part of this too is I don't really know where this is going. I think that I always get a little bit mad about this stuff because the xCloud streaming and the PlayStation 3 streams are absolute shit.
Yeah, I tried to play the MLB game one time through xCloud Gaming.
Yeah,
never loaded. Like it would try to load, and you get like one, and it's like, what the hell is happening? Like,
for me, it was always so low resolution, and I pay a lot for like really good internet.
Yeah.
So GeForce Now, which I might have showed you, like 4K, 120 frames per second GeForce Now. It's possible. It's just like I feel weird that like a lot of these companies just don't ever try. Basically.
Yeah, it's actually it's ridiculous, honestly.
Like Sony could honestly make a case for why you should use their service if it was just better.
Yeah,
than
if it had
xCloud.
if it had a superior platform, people would go to it.
Yep. Let's see. Speaking of, well, no, I don't have a segue because it's now the end of the podcast and I'm starting to get a little loopy. Okay, there's a game on the Nintendo Switch called Chocobo GP.
Chocobos, I'm familiar.
Yep, it was a Final Fantasy kart racer. It was delightful. It had a nice like art style and everything. Absolutely, positively loaded with horrible microtransactions and battle passes and all kinds of garbage, like of monetization, right? It was a very fun game, but it was weighed down by the fact that, like, to unlock new characters, you had to do a gajillion races or you had to pay. And everybody was like, well, I don't want to do either one of those. Like, I don't want to play this game until I hate it in order to unlock a new character because by that point I'll hate the game. 9 months in, Square Enix took this offline and said, whoops, sorry, in addition to 3 other live service games that they were doing at the time.
Wow, what a step back. Usually you don't see that. Usually you just see Double Down.
My favorite is there was one called, God, I can't remember what the name of it was. It was like this Platinum made this third-person action game. And it was so bad. It was supposed to be an online multiplayer game, and it was so bad at one point there was one person playing it.
Oh, shit.
Like on Steam, there was one player concurrent. Anyway, Square Enix's this Chocobo game is back on the Nintendo eShop, but now it is a $50 American and has no microtransactions. Now, I went online and took a look because I was like, well, okay, is this what people want? Like, if you ever come back to the podcast, you will find out in very short order that I have a lot of feelings about Square Enix, the company, and I think that they're a bunch of idiots and jerks.
You got a Chocobo to play with them?
Yeah. So I went online to try to figure this out. I could be wrong because I'm not going to pay for this because I already paid for it.
Why does that not surprise me?
But from what I could tell, this $50 version of the game, what they did was they just ripped out all of the microtransactions and then unlocked everything and then just sold that for $50. It's like, okay, guys, but
that's literally a DLC.
You've swung the pendulum too far in the opposite direction. A game like this, you want to unlock stuff. You just want it to come at a reasonable pace, and you don't want to have to pay money for it.
How much was it originally?
It was free to play. It was free to play with horrible microtransactions.
I care not of this game. Then that oh my god, that's such a frustrating.
But it's one of those things. I don't know. I could be wrong, but it seemed like a very well made little game, and then it was like
they choked the boat on it.
You could actually make a case that for $50, it would be a fun game to play. Except one, it's not getting any more updates ever again, and two, if you just buy this $50 version and everything is unlocked, then like
why play?
Yeah, I need progression. I need to feel like I'm earning something. I need to feel like I'm doing something with my life when I'm playing your baby game with the chocobos.
You go into a party that just like is people have left. You're like, what? Why would I do this?
Yeah. Also, I can't. I tried to think of like if you can play online versus other people, and it's like, who's playing this game? Like, I feel like most of the people that were playing the old game probably are mad because they're gonna have to spend $50 to get the game back.
Yup.
If they were playing it before. So, yeah, good job, everybody.
Fuck you, Chocobos.
Huzzah. Yeah. Let's see. Next week, the story that Atlas confirmed about the Persona 5 or Persona 3 and Persona 5 Tactica are all multi-platform and not specific.
Hooray.
So, yeah, we already talked about that. Valve put out an interesting thing last week where they talked about Dota 2. Dota 2's had a battle pass for a long time, and it turns out that Steam is going to be ditching that moving forward. And part of that is because they looked at their internal metrics and they found that almost nobody was actually buying the battle pass, and even fewer people were getting through it. Now it's interesting because Dota 2 was one of the first games to have a battle pass structure as opposed to like loot boxes or just straight DLC, where you're supposed to buy it, you're supposed to play the game, etc. And what they found when they kind of did an audit on it was that they started to feel really bad that all of the work of new features and cosmetics and skins was going into making the battle pass appealing. So none of it was going directly into the game. It was going into battle pass. And then very few people were even buying the battle pass in the first place. And so it was almost like you have all these artists and creatives that are doing this work and just nobody's ever seen it, because the whole point of the battle pass is, right, once it's gone,
locked behind a paywall.
Oh yeah, it's gone, or there's a rotating content shop or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting to think that, like, if there was any battle pass that should be working, it would be this one. And the fact that this one isn't working makes me wonder, like,
is this going to be a trend?
Well, no wonder that Chocobo game shut down. If like barely 10% of players on one of the most popular games in the world are buying your battle pass. So.
It's just the subscription model, right? That's really, it's how can you get a subscription model within a subscription model?
Sure.
It's inception based marketing.
How can we have you pay for a game and then continue to keep paying us for a game?
I used to think, like, I would love to get into World of Warcraft, but I was like, but I don't ever see myself paying $10 to play a game a month. Like, I literally, back in the day, I was like, there's just no way I'm ever going to do that.
Yeah.
And now it's like, well, fuck yes, sign me up. Like, $10 a month, that sounds like nothing else. Like, yeah.
I think that, I think that they're going to have to try to come up with something new, because I think we're reaching the end of this particular experiment.
Maybe make a good game and finish it and release it.
Hey, I tell you what. The
Nintendo don't worry about that, because they always put their games out fine.
I loaded up season 4, I think, of Fortnite.
Okay.
I like Fortnite's battle pass because it's got a lot of fun stuff, but I think that okay. Personally speaking, because we do have a slight bit of extra time here. Personally speaking, I think that we're starting to reach this point that I've been talking about for years, where it's like, guys, if everybody makes a game that you're expected to always play and never stop playing, none of us are you're never going to have enough people to keep these alive, because everybody's trying to get you to do that, right?
Right. There's going to be a market share.
Right. I can't be working on the Dota 2 Battle Pass and the Overwatch 2 Battle Pass and the Fortnite Battle Pass and the Chocobo GP Battle Pass and the Halo Infinite Battle Pass all at the same fucking time. Like, you can only do one of these, and so much of the game development costs are so high that it's like, yeah, I can't. It's the same reason of, like, why I've considered canceling my Netflix, because I've got, like, all of the streaming services right now, and it's just like
fragmented. Everything is fragmented into pricing.
Yeah, like I can't afford, I can't watch all the shit. There's probably plenty of great, like, with the what's that sandwich show on Hulu? It's like in Chicago or whatever. The Bear, is that what it's called?
No idea.
Okay,
but still, the point is, like, there's so much.
Yeah. Like Secret Invasion started this week, and it's like, man, I didn't even fucking finish Mandalorian season 3, guys.
Oh,
like,
yeah. I watched Mandalorian season 1, and I was like, yay, Star Wars. And then, just like everything else, I'm just like, there's so much of this.
I don't want any more Star Wars.
I'm full, thank you. Please, no more. Eat, fatty, get in there. No, I don't want any more Star Wars.
Yeah. So yeah. Which is, why it's nice when Nintendo puts out just like, hey, here's a little Mario game for you. You're just like, hooray!
It's packaged and well received.
Does it have a beginning and an end? Hooray! I don't know if this was still a good one. Steam Deck, the Steam OS has had an update. There was an additional update. This is part of a bunch of the stuff that's already happened. They've redone the entire Steam UI. A lot of it comes with the Steam Deck. Apparently, it's a lot easier to update now. One of the big things is you can now you can put like transparent notes, like, and just like pin them to your game.
Nice.
And apparently, you can also pin the browser to your game. So if you wanted to like put say a RageSelect video in your Steam in the upper left corner and hit play on YouTube, and then close the overlay and go back to your game, would just fucking straight up play there.
The headline literally indicates Shrek.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
I was scrolling the social webs, I think, like a week ago, and somebody had a really funny comment that I just found to be hilarious. We live in a timeline where Rosa Parks was alive and could have gone and seen Shrek in theater. And it blew my mind. I literally had to sit there and go, that's fucking true.
Yep.
Insanity. And this has nothing to do with this, but it's just like the fact that that's a real thing. I don't know. Shrek is one of those yeah, but have you seen Shrek? It's like, why is this movie so pillarizing, I
have absolutely no idea. It was fine. It was
a fine movie.
It was fine. I watched it in the fucking theaters. It was fine. Yeah, the weird ones to me are the ones that will do the time comparisons where
it's been 10 years, the same thing as the 80s have been since the 40s to the 70s or some shit.
Not even that, or that'll be from the time between, it'll be it's been longer from the advent of the iPhone until now than it was from the iPhone to the invention of the telephone or something.
Yeah.
It'll be something like that. And you're just like,
oh shit,
yeah, it has been. Fucking time. Stop it.
When you said you keep mentioning the PS3 lifespan, I'm like, we're still in the PS3 lifespan. Oh my god, we're at 5. Holy shit.
My favorite passage of time of all time, or my favorite realization about how time worked, was when I started hearing the 90s alternative rock music that I listened to as a rebellious teenager as elevator music in JCPenney's, and I was like, Is Third Eye Blind elevator music now? This is some subversive shit. He's talking about getting his dick sucked, and this is just in the fucking store?
Welcome to the store today, sir.
And I was like, I guess this is what it was like when my parents were hearing the counterculture 70s fucking radicals.
Just shopping. You're in the elevator, listen to the...
Yep. Okay, and then let's see, we got some trailers, but before we get to that, the Callisto Protocol is getting its first and last and only story DLC next week. So if you're into that, have a good time. I think I finally decided that I just didn't like Callisto Protocol. I'd rather play the Diablo or the Dead Space remake than that weird game. Also, it appears from this little teaser that that this is actually finishing the story of the Callisto Protocol, which is oh shit.
I get this game confused with Prey.
Yep.
And all this other stuff that's come out. Dead Space is the only one that's really stuck in my mind.
Prey is much better than all of them. All of them. All right, let's finish this up. We got some trailers. There was a game that was announced during the kind of Games Fest or whatever, not E3, called Star Trek Infinite. It had a cinematic trailer, and we got a gameplay revealed trailer.
Question for you: why is it so hard to make a good Star Trek game? It's always got to be tactical. They never give you a first-person Star Trek game.
I think because it's hard to build truly branching narratives. It usually requires a focus on just that, or the narratives become so shallow that they're not worth doing. So you end up focusing on action, which is visceral that people want to do. This seems to be a 4X, where you can play as the Federation, the Klingons, the Romulans, or the Cardassians. Who the fuck wants to be a Cardassian?
Keeping up with the Cardassians.
They suck. They suck so bad. Except for what's his face? The Taylor on Deep Space Nine. He was a good one, but
so good. Don't remember his name.
Yeah, Garrick. I knew I remember it. Anyway, this looks fine. Star Trek,
Civilization Star Trek.
Yeah, looks for a good 4X. 4X are space civilization, right? So you're going to create outposts, you're going to build fleets, you're going to have little tactical engagements. But then also early on, they kind of show some it seems like they might have some you're on a mission, and then a little thing comes up and choose some options. So. Blake, I brought some stuff for you this week. I have a trailer for the AEW Fight Forever.
Ladder match.
The ladder match with these two gentlemen.
That is Darby Allin and Sammy Guevara.
And they spend a lot of time in this trailer, live action climbing up ladders, and then in a video game mode, jumping off of ladders. From this trailer, I am led to believe that the AEW wrestling is 90% ladders. It appears there's always a ladder present, and that somebody is always jumping off of it onto somebody else.
You know, I am so excited for this game, but I see it's really going to be important about how the feel of the game is. But every time I see the game, it's like it's in fast motion.
Yeah,
like it's like, oh god, I hope this is not going to be. It's going to be a broken mess, but that's fine. You know, it's the first AEW game, but the fact that they've put in so much, like there's skateboarding, there's literally inner jokes that if you know like wrestling lore, like they've done, like there's a lot of detail that's gone into this. So.
Yep. I mean, you know, part of it could just be like the way that it's a little like kind of almost in fast motion. It could just be that they're trying to kind of differentiate themselves from the really kind of slow WWE games by making it a little bit more like snappy and arcadey.
And you might be able to adjust that as well in some of the game speed or move speed.
Also true. So many ladders, though. There's like parts of this trailer where there's 2 ladders.
There's a recent trailer that came out today about the death match, or it was like a preview. They literally have an exploding death match with like pyrotechnics and everything at the very end and like a giant countdown.
Yeah.
And it's referencing a match that actually occurred, which was supposed to have a giant explosion, but it was like they didn't go off the right way, so it was like poof. And they literally have a version of that in the game where it's supposed to be this big thing and it's like poof. It's hilarious. I'm excited about it.
Cool. Let's see. Gundam Evolution is getting a new character for season 5. This is
the free to play. I watched
Suwacha. What is this thing? This is Susanoo. No.
I'm not on that Gundam yet. I need to drop some One Piece and I need to go back to Gundam. This is the free to play that you guys covered on RageSelect, right?
Okay. This is this is the Overwatch one. So this is Overwatch Gundam, and it's very good. It's very fun. Like, I would play it. I got like way too into I think the one that you're referring to, Battle Operation 2, for a while. But it turns out that because Gundam has so many very specifically iconic mobile suits that have different powers, it makes for a really good Overwatch clone because you just add in person's new favorite thing from their favorite Gundam and then like bada bing bada boom.
I played something in Japan arcade that was like it combined all of the Gundam universes and you could literally have battles on like it was very like trademarked, like this is the V Gundam and this is like the Double Zeta Gundam. It was the most beautiful game that I got my ass kicked. I had no idea what was going on, but it was so cool. And this is something that I may actually end up playing.
I mean, it's free to play just about everywhere. It's on consoles now too. So, and they keep adding stuff to it, which I'm sure it's very popular because
they would. Yeah.
Like this trailer hasn't been touched up. Like this is what the game looks like. I mean, obviously you're playing it from first person, but like, you know, making mechs look good. We've had a lot of experience. Doing that.
We've had time on them mechs.
Yep. Let's see. Solstice is getting a content update. This is for the 5 people who know what Solstice is. This is like a kind of a third-person action game / RPG thing that I was super psyched for. That ended up being a little bit rough in the hands. I didn't end up playing it, but it's getting an update with some new content, some new ways to play, new powers. Just FYI.
Nice.
Let's see. We got a 5-minute gameplay overview for Atlas Fallen, which is this weird sand
Assassin's Creed Horizon.
Sort of. No, it's more like it reminds me of Forspoken, but like not in a bad way. Where it's kind of like it looks like it's going to be like a third-person action game. A big part of it is that your character
like
controls sand and has like weird sand powers.
You know, that reminds me of One Piece. Okay, I'll stop.
Yeah, it's a little rough around the edges because you're making your character. There's a lot of this trailer that raises a few red flags, but this is one of those ones where, like, man, it could go either way. Like, it looks like it doesn't look like it's going to be great, but, like, maybe it will be.
There's
great.
a lot of cool elements. It looks like
Could be good. It's got some like platforming and some RPG stuff, and your whole civilization is under the thumb of the tyrant god. And
don't you hate when that happens on a
then
Tuesday?
you find a gauntlet that imbues you with special sand powers, and it's coarse and it gets everywhere, and you irritate Anakin Skywalker in the end. But
I understand that reference.
I don't know. It doesn't look like the worst game I've ever played, but it's also just really tough. Like, there's a lot of big Monster Hunter looking bosses in here. I don't know. This is one that I want to keep my eye on, but it's hard to say. So
It's your middle of the road. It's got a lot of different elements from games that look like it maybe a little like Monster Hunter.
Yep.
All that type of stuff.
Again, it's like it could be bad, or it could end up being like, oh no, dude, you really have
Game
to
of
play
the
Alice
year.
Fallen. Like,
Yeah.
I know it looks like garbage, but it could be really good. Let's see. We're going to cut a few of these. Speaking of medieval fantasy, the first Fire Emblem that was released in the West, Fire Emblem, what was it called? Fire Emblem.
The Blazing Blade, isn't it?
Is that what it is? Yeah, the Blazing Blade was a GBA game. Is now on not on Game Pass. The Switch expansion pack, the GBA game. So if you want to, you can go back and play that. This was released on the Game Boy Advance a long ass time ago, and it's your basic ass Fire Emblem. So go find out where it all started. We got, let's see, a couple of release dates. The Lara Croft collection.
Ooh.
This is Tomb of Osiris, and what are they? Which ones are they? It's like
The
top down ones. Yeah. Guardian of Light and Temple of Osiris are coming out June 29th, and that's on the Nintendo Switch. Seems like a great place to put those, And
Actually, that does seem like a perfect place.
Mr. Run and Jump, which was announced a little while back, which is this very weird like Atari game that's like a
it's like was that VVVV and then like Super Meat Boy or something?
Yeah, it's like a Super Meat Boy kind of like hyper platformer, and it's all in neon. The interesting thing about this is, as near as I could tell, there is a Mr. Run and Jump. This company that's making this made a Atari 2600 cart of this game. Not that it looks like this. It looks like an Atari 2600 game, but it's got the same overall thing.
Props. That's awesome. I probably won't play it out of the frustration of it being that type of game, but
Yeah.
I can't wait to watch people speedrun it.
Yep. And that is coming out, what was it? July 25th. So, boom. Let's see. Immortals of Avium, the weird Call of Duty with magic shooter that EA is putting out, has been pushed back. It was supposed to be coming out in early, July 20th, and it is now August 22nd. This is your standard. We need more time to polish.
We're trying to make it look more or be more like Valorant, but not Valorant. Call of Duty Valorant.
This is a very weird game. I think this game is going to be bad.
This is going to be ass. If they're pushing it back and like I haven't even heard of this game.
They've been spamming it everywhere, and like it's so weird looking because
it's I'm stupid. This isn't a Call of Duty game. This is if Magic was Call of Duty.
It's Call of Duty with magic.
Okay.
So this is EA is making this, and it's like a first person shooter, but like a magic first person shooter where you're in this kind of magic world, but you're using this like gauntlet to shoot these different like high powered spells. Could be good if if it plays like Doom, it could be good. I love OG Doom, but I don't know. The last game they put out was like a Monster Hunter clone, and I don't think anybody's even playing it anymore. So we'll have to see. But this one has some promise. I can't get a handle. I really need a demo. I really would like a demo for it to know how it plays.
It's very much a feel game.
Yeah. Because you could make a really cool looking trailer with a lot of particles in it, but doesn't mean
they've done it a lot, and they've taken a lot of money with it too.
In other weird news, Flintlock, which is a game that I'm really excited for, is getting pushed back. So it's supposed to be early 2023, and now it's just straight 2024.
They realize they're like, nope, rebuild the whole fucking shit.
Well, the thing is, you talked about before about Cyberpunk 2077. At this point, we, or I at least, and a lot of the folks I think that either both watch and listen to RageSelect are like, if you guys need 9 more months, I'd rather have a good game in 9 months than a bad one now.
Plenty of content to go around. You don't have to. There's a lot of games out there.
And this one is like it's kind of like a God of War third-person action game, but it's like it's weird where you got like a gunpowder and guns, but then also a lot of like weird magic stuff. So
magic.
And then let's see. We also last week got an announcement that Dead Cells is getting an animated series, which I'm super duper excited for.
Yeah, because I'm like, Dead Cells is basically like an animated game. You know what I mean? Like it's like if there was I know that's like of course it's an animated game, but it literally feels like you're watching an anime when you're playing it.
The question about it is what the hell is it going to be? And the answer came when I read the press release for it that was talking about how it's going to be like 10 7-minute long episods. And I'm like, oh, this is a web short series, not a series.
Yeah, this was, what was that stupid platform that was around for a while?
Quibi.
This is a very Quibi series.
This is a Quibi, yes.
Quick little Quibi.
Which is good, because I'd rather they just do little teasers, mostly because all of the they've done a bunch of animation for Dead Cells for the announcement of various expansions, and it's always really fun. And since the main character doesn't really talk or have personality, I think it's going to work a lot better as a small little bite-sized thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish it up with some fun stuff. Grimace's birthday is this month. I know this because I went to McDonald's yesterday and they tried to give me a purple shake, and I was like, no, I don't want that.
Ooh.
But
what's the flavor of the purple shake? Is it either vanilla, strawberry, or mint? Was it the mint chip? Mint chip?
I think it's Grimace Dick. Grimace Dick.
Load me up.
So one of the funniest things is for this celebration, McDonald's had this company called Cruel Toys, Krool Toys, create a Grimace's birthday
flash game.
It's a Game Boy Advance game. A Game Boy Color game, and you can play it on their website. And it's like, I played it. It's a little 2D side-scrolling skateboarding Grimace game. And they're like, Grimace, you got to get all the shakes for the party.
Get all your dick.
Yeah, but what's funny about it is that it's an actual Game Boy Color ROM. So if you flash it onto a Game Boy Color ROM, you could actually play this on a Game Boy Color.
That's awesome.
You could actually play this dumb Grimace game on a Game Boy Color. It also reminded me when I played it why I don't like to play Game Boy Advance games, because it's fine, but it's like incredibly unresponsive and hard to play. So
that's really cool.
In other dumb product placement news, Igloo Coolers is making a Sonic the Hedgehog.
That looks so cool. I want 5.
Cooler. This is $40.
Oh, they will be sold out like a mother.
It's just an Igloo cooler with a Sonic
Shut
the
up,
Hedgehog.
Jeff. I want it. This is my life. I like Sonic and you don't. Okay, we understand.
I'm sorry. I should have. When you told me that you liked Sonic, I should have immediately pointed you to this. The Sonic.
There's 2 drinks in it, like a cooler that you can put in. Like, there's a picture online that we're looking at, and it has 2 beverages in the cooler.
It says
just carry it with you.
It could hold 9, I think. It said total.
It looks like that
because they put way too much ice in for those 2.
You can carry 9 either with no ice, right, and then they gotta already be cold,
right,
or you can carry 2 with ice.
I will
be buying one.
$40. Igloo's website.
I mean, they literally just put a vinyl decal on the sides. Just
you could do this yourself.
You could totally.
You could do this yourself. There's no reason.
But I want the official. It's not official until Sonic's looking at me, being like, "Why aren't you buying this yet?"
They didn't even put it on everything. They just put it on the lid. Yeah. Even the rest of it's just the red Igloo cooler.
And they could have. Okay,
it could have been a blue cooler.
If you been
Sonic Blue.
Go to the second picture.
This
right?
one?
You could have literally made the white a ring.
Yep.
Like, they literally had all this potential marketing wise to put like a ring where they actually have.
It's actually kind of impressive how cheap it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of impressive.
Guys, we got the Sonic franchise. We got the trademark to do something with Igloo. Isn't that? There's all these cross collaborations with these big companies that are really interesting.
Yeah, put a sticker on it.
Shut up and put a sticker on it.
Put a sticker on there. Go into Photoshop, make a sticker.
The Igloo owner comes in. He goes, "We are Igloo. We get shit done and we don't think about it. Put that shit on there."
Seriously, I didn't even think about it until you were talking about it. But like, you could have at least just made it blue. You could have just at least just made the cooler the same Sonic blue that Sonic is.
Just a little bit more fucking effort.
Just
That's
a
all
little
we
bit more.
wanted.
That's all we were looking for.
That's your $39.99 right there.
Do not buy one of these and bring it to my house. Or if you do, take it. Well, you must take it with you when you leave.
Okay.
Do not leave it at my house.
I'm going to bring one, and I'll open, and there will be another one in it.
Because you're going to come back, and you're going to have a classic red and white Igloo cooler. And you'll be like, where did Sonic go? And I'll be like,
and then you'll come back, and you're like, damn it, did you put the vinyl on this one?
Just keep it's the war of just like leaving Sonic merchandise
slapping
in my house.
vinyl on everything.
It's like Elf on a Shelf, but it's like Sonic in Jeff's house.
I'm gonna just put a fat head on your the fat head is like the thing that you put on the wall. It's like life size.
Yeah.
And you just like that's what I would do.
Yeah.
I would put it on the wall, get a fat head of Sonic, boom, done.
And with that, we're done.
Whoa! That was my first time going through a whole podcast. Man, that was so much fun. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem. Why don't you tell the fine folks on the internet where they can find you when you're not helping me talk about Sonic branded Igloo coolers for some reason?
As you're listening to this, and if you're on mobile, you can go to the Patreon.com app and look up Junk Food Cinema and RageSelect because you better be on both. But we are on Patreon.com/Junk Food Cinema. Brian is my brother, and he does the podcast. I am mainly there for support and run the Discord, and we have a great community. Both RageSelect communities and Junk Food Cinema communities are so worth being a part of. So please subscribe, and we're having fun over there, and this was a lot of fun too. So
cool. You already know where RageSelect is. You know, maybe do the Patreon. Maybe do that. But that's another podcast. Now I don't know. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
You're gonna go play Sonic?
I don't have a good outro for these shows. That's what you're gonna come to find out. So a lot of times we get to the end, the coffee is gone. I'm hungry. I'm tired. I'm sweaty. I'm out of news. I'm just like, get the fuck out of here.
We're done here.
I gotta lay down for a minute. You kids get out of my podcast.
We're done here.